His handball back to half-back. Anderson picked it up, but under pressure it's going to be turned over, and Clayton Oliver makes a big contest of it on the arc of 50. The umpire will ball it up.
Oliver and Anderson, both their contests, one-on-one. That contest right near the boundary, then that contest to finish with the ball up. Outstanding effort from two Bulls.
They're all out their feet.
Oh, this is outstanding.
Pressure has been unbelievable, especially in this second half. Van Rooyen reaches over the top, only as far as Rowell. Mark taken by Humphrey. He can reload from right half back. They got to go to the Suns. He flares it out wide to Ellis. Ellis has a couple of options short. He hits one. It's Swallow. He's on centre wing. They've worked this up to halfway. Swallow wants to go long. Kicks inside 50. Chol the target. Was he pushed out? Oh. No, says the umpire. Waves play on, kick inside, Mark! McPherson has it. 40 out directly in front. He will kick to tie the scores.
Geez, how did Chol not get that free kick?
Eyes closed. Simple as that. That's the only way you can explain that.
So McPherson will kick from just inside 50, directly in front. 30 seconds left. Comes in. Very close to the man on the mark, and it's squeezed right.
Wow.
A point. 5 points the margin in favour of the D's. Can they hang on?
So the former Gold Coast Sun, Stephen May, has the ball. The crowd don't like it. He's holding on. 15 seconds to go. His long left footer goes outside the arc. Fritsch flies at the back of the pack widths. The long left footer to centre half forward is a floater. And the mark taken by Jack Viney, and that's kind of fitting. There's the siren. What a cracker on the coast. The Gold Coast gave it absolutely everything. They are flat out on the ground, but in a beauty of a game on the glitter strip. The Demons have proven they are a quality contender. They have won by 5 points.
It's a grand old flag, it's a high-flying flag. It's the emblem for me and for you. It's the emblem of the team we love, the team of the red and the blue. Every heart beats true for the red and the blue, and we sing this song to you. Should all acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the red and the blue.
So what a victory from the D's. They were challenged like few thought they would be, but this young Suns outfit proving they are taking big strides in 2023. Goal kickers will start with the D's. 2 to Gawn and Grundy and Pickett. 1 each to Neil Bullen, Petrarca, Sparrow, Bowie, Chandler, Jordan and Van Rooyen. For the Suns, 4 to Roses, 2 to Kaz, Bolt, Choi and King. 1 each to Lukosius, Anderson and Ellis. 13-12-90 the D's, defeating the Suns 13-7-85.
It's a high-flying flag, it's the emblem for me and for you. It's the emblem of the team we love, the team of the red and the blue. Every heart beats true for the red and the blue, and we sing this song to you. Should all acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the red and the blue.
So Melbourne, with the fright of their lives, 13-12-90, defeating the Suns 13-7-85. We've got about a minute before we send everyone off to their respective games tonight. WA listeners will be heading to Fremantle and the Hawks. Everyone else is headed off to the Giants and the Bulldogs. Jeff White, you've got about 30 seconds to squeeze in the votes before we say goodbye to a few of our audiences.
Yeah, unbelievable game. But yeah, we're under the pump here. But we got one vote to Powell. He was really good down back. Just outstanding effort just to hold, have his composure. His foot skills are great. Courageous going back for the fight of the ball. 2 votes to Clayton Oliver, just a bull in and under. When the D's needed a lift, he was there. He got it out of the centre and was inspirational in that last quarter. We gave 3 votes to Noah Anderson. Well, that's one of the best games I've ever seen him play. unbelievable game in the, the way the game went. He was still there. He was still breaking the lines. It was a great effort.
So 3 to Anderson, 2 to Oliver, 1 to Powell. What a game. Enjoy the rest of this evening.
Hello, I'm Patrick Stack, and if you like great stories and you enjoy sport, then I reckon you need ABC Sport Daily in your life.
Well, Patrick, to put it succinctly, it's the cult of Gillon McLaughlin.
They advanced from the Kings to King James in a series that has all of us making it appointment viewing.
You look at the Gabba, they haven't even put a shovel in the ground yet, and it's already almost 3 times as much as what the original quote was.
Old each-way Middlemass. Enjoy the weekend action, mate. It's a daily sports conversation, and it's called ABC Sport Daily. Find us on the ABC Listen app.
ABC Sport.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2023 AFL Premiership season.
Marks out to the right, steps on goal, superb finish. Turns, whacks it straight through the middle.
Pulls the trigger on goal, and goes bang!
'Cause here it comes, here it comes.
On ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, and now streaming on the ABC Listen app. Look for the AFL button.
Something big is coming, I know.
It is one of the AFL's best modern rivalries, GWS Giants and the Western Bulldogs, as it was once and unofficially known as the Great Western. And the next edition of this showdown gets underway tonight in Canberra. Welcome to Monica Oval. Brett Sprigg is my name, and to call the action alongside me on Grandstand AFL, as always, is Daniel Garb. Hello, Garby.
Hello, Spriggy. Always great to be in the nation's capital. Really nice crowd building, which is standard for this city. Of course, they love their footy, and this is a really big game. One of the games of the round. It's a little bit cold. A few Dogs players with the long sleeves tonight. That should be interesting. Unfortunately, though, the main protagonist in Toby Green, the superstar of last week, one of the kings of the AFL, is out. That is a shame, but the Giants still a big chance.
As you say, it is quite cool. There might even be a light sprinkling of rain down to Adam Shirley very shortly. For the second of the Giants' 3 home games this year, they lost to Brisbane here a fortnight ago, which means they've now lost their past 8 games at this venue. Poor old Tom Green, who is from Canberra, is 0-6 at his own home ground. The team news, as you mentioned, Garby, is no Toby Green for the Giants, which is a big blow. In comes Daniel Lloyd as the late change. Callan Ward back from suspension. Ralston, who was last week's sub, goes out. James Peatling was also omitted but is retained this week as the sub. Meanwhile, for the Western Bulldogs, Tom Bretore is back from concussion. Ryan Gardner is in for his first game of the year. He replaces Tim O'Brien, who is out with a quad injury. Toby McLean, who was the unused sub last week, and Lockie McNeil also omitted, but he gets a second life as their 23rd man this week. The text line is wide open as always, 0437 774 774. We'll keep you across Freo v Hawthorn at Perth Stadium. If you want to hear that, just find the ABC Listen app, of course. The AFL Extra button is where you'll find full coverage of that game. Every game this year streaming on the ABC Listen app, our Grandstand AFL coverage. And if you're looking for coverage of the King's Coronation, head to the ABC Listen app or TV Channel 25 or your local radio station on DAB Plus Radio. Our experts are royal enthusiasts, former Swan and Blue, Jason Saddington. Welcome, Saddo.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's a bit disappointing to be here because I did want to be in front of the telly watching the King's Coronation.
Watch the replay.
Yeah, okay, no problems.
Toby Green is a big blow.
It's a big blow. Absolutely, it's a big blow. I mean, he's one of the most important players for the Giants and certainly up forward. When you look at this game, it's which end of the ground the team's going to get domination. I think the midfield to be pretty even. It'll be a bit of a pile-up fest in terms of possession through the middle, and without Toby up forward, it puts a bit more pressure on Jesse Hogan and Brent Daniels to kick some goals for the Giants.
And former Eagle and Swan, Callum Sinclair, welcome.
Thank you, Spriggy. Thanks, Garbs. Really excited to be here in the nation's capital. Looking forward to sharing political views with you all for the next couple of hours. But I'll echo the words of you all. Very gutted Toby Green ain't playing, and very curious to see both sides need to do a bit of work to secure themselves in the 8. And look, I'm liking the Giants, but geez, what a game it was last weekend.
Absolutely. The Dogs are won 4 of their past 5, so their form is in the right space. They're currently 10th, so 4-3 on the year so far. As far as the history of these two sides and this authentic rivalry, the Giants banner pre-game, I'll read it out to you in case, most of you missed it, but it says, "Backs against the wall, last week was a war. We can't stand the Swans, but we hate the Dogs more." This goes back to a few things. There's, of course, the Tom Boyd made 2014 trade. A couple of players of sort of Callan Ward, of course, who's probably the best Giant so far, of course, was a Bulldog originally. The 2016 prelim, 2019 elimination final, of course, Toby Green, and the eye gouging incident. He's always at the forefront of the melodrama between these two sides. Of course, was the hero last week in the derby, but it feels like, Garby, their most organic rivalry.
Well, both coaches were asked about it during the week, and there was no shying away from it. Adam Kingsley said, yeah, it's my first game against the Bulldogs, but I have noticed something in my players' eyes this week, that this game means a little bit more. Luke Beveridge, who I don't think he needs to stoke fires. He's been there for long enough. He's won a premiership. He said, yeah, the rivalry is real. And Ryan Griffin's another one involved in the player trade. So, yeah, there is feeling between these two sides. And I'm looking forward to that coming to the boil this evening, because they're both in pretty good form and they both know that a top 8 spot is there for the taking.
The Giants captain tonight is Stephen Cornelio, who's won the toss, and they'll kick to the Cathedral end, which is the southern end of Manuka Oval on this very brisk Saturday evening. Let's get an update on conditions downstairs. Adam Shirley is there, boundary side for us. G'day, Adam.
Yeah, howdy, guys. Looks like a pretty good night for football so far. As you mentioned, Spriggy, there's a bit of drizzle around, but next to nothing for now. There's quite a shower band coming through from the west, though, so maybe the second half, it could be a matter of slippery conditions and more simple get the ball forward kind of football. Overall, no wind, though, so early on in this game, we should see some pretty good skills, as you say, from two very well-performed sides who are looking to cement a spot in the 8.
Bounce down just seconds away. Sato, Cal, give us your final couple of thoughts on tonight's game, the Giants and the Dogs.
Yeah, for me, Spriggy, look, I think both teams have been pretty competitive throughout the year. Neither one really sort of dominating the games that they've played in. Giants, big win last week. They'll carry some momentum through here at their second home in Canberra. I think they'll be up and about for this game. I think it's going to be a close one. It's going to be a real tight one. It's going to be a bit of a midfield fill-up, I think, and it would be which end of the ground can get on top.
Mate, I'm calling this now. It's a must-win game for both sides. And as I do, Sprig, I'm keeping an eye on Tim English and Matthew Flynn on that battle, mate. So I'll be getting stuck into those two as the next 2 hours comes.
The sounds of the orange tsunami alarm here at Manuka Oval on this Saturday night. It is, in its own way, a blockbuster. The Giants and the Dogs, and to get us underway on Grandstand AFL, here's Daniel Garb.
These two sides like each other about as much as the Labor and the Liberal Party. All is bounced in Canberra. Flynn and English, big jump by Tim English. Tim Liberatore is trying to get hands on the footy. He's back in the Dog side. Strong tackle by Marcus Bontempelli on the Canberra boy in Tom Green. We'll have another ball up. He's third in the competition for tackles, Marcus Bontempelli. Doesn't get much credit in terms of that stat. We laud him for everything else he does. He wins his clearance, kicks it to half forward, picked up by Bailey Smith. Strong tackle on him by Jack Buckley. Liberatore gets hands on it though for the Dogs. A kick to half forward, inside 50. Ash is there to meet it for the Giants. Now Tom Green, Whitfield, and Ash has it back.
Ash can rebound here for the Giants, kicks it towards the eastern side, sets a task for Bedford, takes the chest mark at left, half back for the Giants, lays off the hand pass to Finn Callahan running by, rising star nom last week or during the week for the Giants. And it's off hands and over for a boundary throw-in on that far wing here at Manuka Oval. No score inside the opening 60 seconds.
Yeah, overdue, I reckon, rising star nomination for Finn Callahan. He's been fantastic throughout the early part of this season.
Boundary throw-in on the wing. Ruckman meet on the logo. Bontempelli soccers it forward a couple of times to half forward. Picked up by Bailey Smith cleanly. Good tackle on him, though, by Lockie Ash. Watching Smith closely. Probably had the mane of Smith's hair in his face, Lockie Ash. He was so close to him. Boundary throw in half forward for the Dogs.
Well, he's a bit unlucky there not to get a free kick there, Bailey Smith, but played for it pretty hard with the umpires.
Umpire heaves it back in. Right half forward to the Bulldogs at the pool end of Manuka Oval. Kelly, that's meant the football, beaten this time though by Williams of the Dogs. Overruns it though. Cal Ward shuffles out the hand pass to Kelly off the deck. Callahan again trying hard. Hand pass comes to Kelly from Flynn off that raking left boot up the outer side. He can try to find Hogan, but getting back with a flight. Richards takes intercept mark there for the Bulldogs at right half back.
Plays on through the corridor, Richards. Now it's with Johannesson at centre half back. He's turned it over though, picked up by Brent Daniels. The Giants can hurt the Dogs here on the counter. O'Halloran now, who's beating the goals the last few weeks, fires at them from outside 50, off target. It's gathered in the back pocket by the Dogs. Dangerous kick though. Angwin's able to get the spoil in, picked up by O'Halloran. Kicks it again towards the goals for the Bulldogs. Picked up by Liam Jones and now cleared by Duray up to the wing.
Out of the contest there, Buckley tangled up with Norton at ground level. Whitfield for the Giants. Now Buckley on by hand to O'Halloran. Big fend from Angwin. Gets a kick away high towards the hot spot here for the Giants. Sleeping up in the hole down there was Himmelberg. At ground level again, Ward. Shuffles the hand pass out to Tom Green, who can snap on the left. Tom Green, the local lad. What a way to start. Oh, great start for the Giants, and even more so for Tom Green. There's a marquee here bearing his name. As the rain falls here in Canberra, the Giants have the first goal. 1 straight 6. It's the first score. The Dogs are yet to score. 3 gone in the opening term here on Grandstand AFL.
It has started to drizzle out there, Sado, but I did find it interesting that the Doggies have tried to penetrate the corridor pretty quick in these conditions. Good teams just make you pay, and they went two or three times trying to come through the corridor then, but skill execution really cost them.
And it was a couple of opportunities that Giants did have to capitalise and didn't make the most of it, but eventually that sort of weight of pressure told its tale, and Tom Green with a lovely left foot snap. And as you mentioned there, Spriggy, the local, he was pretty pumped with that. The arms went out pretty quick. He was happy to kick a goal here in Canberra.
He's zipping 6 in the nation's capital in his hometown. He's desperate for a win, as are the Giants in Canberra. The Bulldogs win the clearance, so long ball inside 50, picked up by Norton, handball to Ugle-Hagan, and the instant reply comes from the Bulldogs. Jamari Ugle-Hagan with the snap on his left, and we're 1 straight 6 apiece in Canberra.
I'll just mention Aaron Norton there. What a superb contest, particularly with those conditions. He did get bodied out of it, but just got a fingertip in there to bring it to ground, and just class there by Ugle-Hagan.
Yeah, and he's the key, Norton. He's got the capacity to really win this game for the Bulldogs. If they're going to win it, he's the one that up forward that's going to cause the damage against this Giants defence, which is inexperienced. Buckley's been playing terrific footy, but doesn't have as many games under his belt and big game experience like Norton.
Adam Shirley, you keeping dry downstairs?
Yeah, just a passing shower for now, Spriggy. There is a bit of a bigger rain band coming in about half an hour, I reckon, looking at the radar site, so we'll see how we're going at that point.
Aaron Norton, 4 goals, 3 last week against the Hawks. Here he is with the goal assist. And the first major goes the way of Jamari Ugle-Hagan. So it's 1 straight 6 apiece. Restart back in the middle. Cornelio gets boots a ball into the clearance. Out to beat the ball down there. The tackle is Bailey Dale. Ball comes free now for Tom Green. Fires the hand pass back to Cumming. Kicks around the corner towards half forward. In the breadbasket of Hogan. And Hogan takes the mark, 55 out. Lays off the hand pass to Anglin running by. Left foot boot right to the line there. It's marked by Gardner at right full-back for the Dogs. No change to our score. 1 straight 6 apiece.
Gardner in for his first game of the season after playing 22 last year. One of the less heralded Dogs, but dependable. Short to Richards. He moves it forward 15 metres to Duray. The Dogs happy to chip it out of their defensive 50. Now it's with McRae, the 3-time All-Australian. Back to Duray, who sends it up the wing, looking for Waitman. He leapt. Couldn't bring it down. Cummings there with him. Now Connor Iden in his 50th game. Handball inboard to Whitfield. The Dogs in transition now. Whitfield finds Tom Green on the wing.
In front of his own marquee, the Tom Green fan club. Dummies the hand pass, holds it for a moment. At 31 touches last week in the derby, Tom Green, as he came back from suspension, up towards half forward. Himmelberg goes up and comes off hands and over for a throw-in, 60 around from the Giants' goal at the Cathedral end. Dockers have the first goal in Perth, round the grounds there, 1 straight 6. Freo leads Hawthorn yet to score. We'll keep you across that game running concurrently with this one, where it's 1 straight 6, the Giants and the Dogs apiece in Canberra.
Flynn and English, the 2 dominant ruckmen for their respective sides tonight. Free kick to the Bulldogs at half-back. It's Adam Treloar, an inaugural Giant, of course. And his 3rd club now, Adam Treloar, and having a very good season as the Bulldogs again go short from defensive 50. It's with Johannesson. Out wide to Bailey Dale. He'll play on quickly as he loves to do. Kick to half forward. Missed by Isaac Cumming. And now Norton soccers it towards the goal square. Connor Iden has it. Is he caught holding the ball by Rory Lobb? I think he might be. He is. What a great start to Connor Iden's 50th game. Tried to spin away from Rory Lobb. Strong tackle by another former Giant, of course. And he, in the long sleeves, will kick from 25 metres out.
Tell you what, Sato, you're in the coaching game at the moment. Nothing better seeing a big key forward, second efforts like that, getting smaller defender holding the footy.
Rory Lobb looking for goal 150 of his AFL career. He has managed that. 64 of them came at the Giants. And he's kicked the second goal of the night for the Bulldogs. They had 2 straight 12, GWS 1 straight 6.
No, spot on there, Cal. Especially in the conditions, if the rain's coming down, you're probably not going to get the same opportunities to mark the ball overhead. So Rory Lobb, as a tall marking player, it's really important that you do get dirty at ground level, and that was a fantastic display by him to lay a tackle, get the free kick, and get that shot on goal and finish. So a strong start here from the Bulldogs. It's been a very open game so far. Both teams looking to move the ball quickly.
8 minutes gone in the opening term. Rory Lobb with the Dogs second, as you say, Garby. He and Treloar, of course, having each played for clubs in between their time at the Giants. Rory Lobb coming through Freo. Now at the Dogs this year. Good start tonight for him. Flynn sends it down here. Daniel wrapped up by Perryman. A good game last week for the Giants, Harry Perryman. The umpire says, give it to me once again. Ball up again. English down here. Bontempelli working hard. Tunneled away by Flynn. Here to Tom Green. Clears now towards half forward for the Giants. Swatted away, though, in the direction of Hogan. Gets it back to Perryman. Kicks inside 50. But strong defensive grab taken down there by Richards at left half back for the Dogs.
A couple of strong marks down back from Ed Richards so far. Chips it to Gardner. He goes laterally to the right back pocket for Johannesson. 2016 Norm Smith medalist. A lot of footy for the Bulldogs this season, averaging his most disposals per game since 2019. Shorty goes to Bailey Smith. Game number 90 for him. Long ball up the wing from Smith. Underneath it is Ugal Hagen as is English. Punched away from him. Picked up by Cornelio. Kicks it on his left, but bounces once and then goes out of bounds. So boundary throw in outer side in front of plenty of spectators on the hill where they love to gather here at Monaco Oval. Great to have your company around the nation. Here's Brett Sprigg on ABC Grandstand.
Bulldogs lead by 6 points here. Back in it comes. Flynn and English get tangled up. Out in space. Tom Green at the arm pinned by Daniel. Umpire says play on. Green gets away here for the Giants. Tumbles at the direction of O'Halloran. Slapped away here by Bedford. Waiting for it though down there for the Dogs is Liam Jones. He's wrapped up. Umpire says play on. On the overlap here the Giants go off half forward. Cornelio's high ball inside 50 is picked off down there by Bailey Dale, and he'll swing it across the goal mouth. So that's a task for Alex Keith. Drops the mark in the left back pocket. Works his way around Daniels. Off balance, kicks beyond defensive 50. Up goes Lockie Ash. Takes the grab 55 from goal here for the Giants. Opportunity here for GWS to go back inside 50. Lockie Ash is an important player off contract this year for them. Sends it high towards the teeth of goal. Top of the square. 3-on-2. English out the back. Jones doing the defensive work. Shares it with Richards, and the Dogs can get away here.
Richards tries to spot up Ugal Hagen. It's a dangerous kick if they don't get hands on this, the Dogs, and they don't. Picked up well by Buckley, and now Lloyd just chips it to the top of the square. It had too much heat in it, though, for Flynn. And back there taking a defensive mark is Tim English. Plays on short to Bailey Williams. Up the wing he goes to Bailey Smith. Ball floats over his head and sits up beautifully for Bailey Smith. His kick to half forward wasn't really clean, so it suits Connor Ryden back there. And now Lockie Ash getting plenty of it early. Can get the Giants out of trouble with a nice kick to Lloyd, who marks in a contested fashion in front of Norton at right half back.
A Central Coast lad, a late in for Toby Green tonight. He's just joining us. That was the change. Lloyd in for Toby Green. As Toby Green battles a leg injury, he's sitting in the coach's box with Adam Kingsley tonight. Perryman takes the mark on the commentary wing. Bulldogs lead here 2 straight to 1 straight. 11.5 gone in the opening term. He's called to play on Perryman. Kicks high towards the 2-on-2 at half forward. A little too deep down there for Hogan. Coming in at ground level here for the Bulldogs is McRae. Head over it. Great courage. Shares it now with Bailey Dale. Short chip pass to Daniel. Speaking of short, takes the mark 48 from defensive goal here for the Dogs.
They've been happy to do a lot of this so far, the Bulldogs. Just chip it around defensive 50 rather than bombing it long. And Caleb Daniel does that again. Finds Anthony Scott at left half back. Just a 20-metre kick. Now they go to half forward. The long ball to Norton. Buckley's right there with him. And he's spoiling it, Jack Buckley. He has the 5th most spoils in the comp and the most contested one-on-ones. He throws himself into plenty of contests, Jack Buckley, and he's just about the leader in the back line now in the absence of Sam Taylor.
He certainly is. He's doing a bloody good job.
12 gone first quarter. Bulldogs by 6 points over the Giants. Back in it comes. English. It's down here towards Baker. It's run out to the boundary line. Shepherded there by Baker. The umpire will throw it back in.
Tell you what they've got to be careful of, the Bulldogs, Sato, is that they've got two big key forwards, and particularly in these conditions, they're still trying to just chip it and try and rather than just hit the outlet.
Voice of Callum Sinclair, Jason Saddington on Grandstand AFL. From the stoppage, Kelly again runs it out of bounds for a throw-in.
No, very true, Kel. When you do have Norton and Lobb up forward, they are great targets. I think what's happening too is the Bulldogs getting so many numbers back, and every inside 50 the Giants have had, they've managed to probably kick it back to the Bulldogs because they've got the numbers back. They're a bit slower coming out.
Harry Himmelberg doing the ruck work for the Giants. Got to the front of that pack, won it cleanly. And now GWS through Whitfield go into attacking 50. Good spoil away from Lloyd. It was from Alex Keith. And now they've left it behind the Dogs. Picked up by Himmelberg, and he spots up Jesse Hogan on the lead. It's a bad mistake there at half-back from Oscar Baker, who drops his head after leaving the ball behind. That allowed Himmelberg to swoop, and Hogan will kick from 30 out on the angle.
The fundamentals always important. The little fumble there from Baker, he well and truly left it behind. It just gives an opportunity. Himmelberg quick to swoop on it. Barely a 15-metre pass, but enough to get Hogan on the lead. And important set shot here for Jesse.
Jesse Hogan looking for goal number 15 of the season and his first of the night. It just sneaks in. And we are level here in Canberra. The Giants 2 straight 12. Hogan with their second. The Bulldogs 2 straight 12 as well. Let's go down to the boundary line and Adam Shirley.
Harry Perriman spent the first 5 minutes of the game on the bench, but the expected run with roll with Marcus Bontempelli is there now, although not a hard tag. At a couple of contests, been watching him closely, and he's trying to get dangerous forward of the ball once the Giants win possession.
And I don't mind that tactic. Perryman's a really smart, close-checking footballer, a great contested player, but he's also clever enough to be able to read the game in the front half of the field. So if he's on Bontempelli, he will find himself free in that front half to be able to use the ball and hit up some forwards.
Around the grounds in Perth, 3:02.3:15. Hawthorn yet to score, of course. Coverage of that game on the ABC Listen app. They're both and every game streaming right across this AFL season of 2023. Back in the middle, Himmelberg against English. One here to Cornelio. Short kick, trying to find Himmelberg. A little too hot for him, though. Gathered by Perryman. Guys again by Hand, wrapped up. In the middle there by Arthur Jones. And now Bontempelli can clear here for the Dogs. Pinpoint a pass here to Bailey Smith, who takes the chest mark just forward of halfway on the western side. Called to play on now. Send it inside forward 50 on his lead of Jamara Ugle-Hagan, who's 55 out. This will test his distance. He's got leads in the pocket there with Norton and also Lobb down there as well. Waitman lurking. His kick goes in the pocket. It's on Giants jumpers in defence. Cleared away here by Cumming. And now it's going to come back here for a Giants free kick. Or the
it's a boundary throw.
Signal downfield for a throw-in, correct.
Cumming carried it over before trying to kick.
Stoppage inside 50 here for the Dogs. It's all square at 2 straight 12 apiece.
I didn't mind that option from Ugle-Hagan. English had snubbed forward, and it is a good tack to the Bulldogs to push him forward as an option.
The boundary thrown inside 50 for the Dogs. Himmelberg works his way to the front. Oscar Baker gets hands to it. Can he make up for his mistake a moment ago? Kicks it to a dangerous area, top of the square. Norton's there, punched away from him by Buckley. Caleb Daniels at the base of it, gives it to Bailey Dale. Left foot snap on goal, won't have the distance. And it's double-fisted away from Lockie Whitfield for a rush behind. He was really good defensively, Lockie Whitfield, last week. 9 intercept possessions, and that was an important intervention for a rush behind.
Kick out taken quickly. Callum Brown, who came back into the side last week in the left-back pocket. Swings it across here for Whitfield. Now to switch on for Haynes. Speaking of inaugural Giants, works the hand pass forward for Cornelio. In some space now. Kicks just along the boundary line western side for Hogan. Draws the player. Fires the hand pass off to Finn Callahan. Kicks infield now for the Giants. Oh, Perryman's outnumbered down there. Bontempelli rises above. Wins at the ground there for Liberatore. Couple of premiership players there for the Dogs. Fresh air shot there from Cumming, trying to clear it away. Kelly does so by hand to Whitfield. Now Perryman on here to Callum Brown. And now Himmelberg has some room to move at half forward. Sends a high, ugly ball up inside 40. Might work out okay, though. Up goes Hogan. At the drop down there for the Giants. Lurking again is Daniel Lloyd. Handball almost chopped off, though. It comes to Tom Green, who can snap again on the left boot. And this time he misses near side. And it is a minor score. The Giants 2-1-13. The Bulldogs are 2-1-13. 17 gone to the opening term here on ABC Sport. This is Grandstand AFL.
I'm not sure if that was the planned ball movement from the Giants. A bit of kamikaze in that. The dangerous kick inside, and then a few little up and downs from Harry Himmelberg, but nearly effective. Tom Green with another snap.
The Giants do seem to be moving the ball a little bit quicker than the Bulldogs at the moment, as Bailey Dale goes short in the pocket and finds Caleb Daniel. He gets a handball back now, Bailey Dale, and that's a lovely pass. He is one of the best kicks in the competition. Spots up Bailey Smith at left half back. And he'll switch it, Bailey Smith. They've done a few times, the Dogs. He goes to Daniel, and now Liam Jones at centre half back. Darts around Aaron Cadman and finds his ruckman in Tim English at right half back. He gets a short lead from Liberatore, barely the 15. So the Bulldogs just behind the wing, happy to chip it around still late in this first term. He goes to DeRay. Now they find Cody Waitman at half forward, who kicked 5 against the Giants. And the Bulldogs win at Giants Stadium last season. Short again to Alex Keith. And he'll play on now. They can go deep into attack, the Bulldogs. Keith to the top of the square, off hands, picked up by Arthur Jones, and he'll snap a goal. So they were precise with their ball movement, the Bulldogs. Eventually they go long, and they get the reward. Arthur Jones, with just his second goal as an AFL footballer. The Bulldogs are 3-1-19, the Giants 2-1-13.
I'll tell you what, he is getting so much attention, so much attention down there at the moment, just causing a contest, bringing it to ground, and that's what your small guys do. They absolutely mop those ones up. But Aaron Norton, I just think he's had 2 great contests, which have caused the ball to come to ground, and he brings those guys into the game. He's a great key forward to watch.
It's the beauty of Norton, because if he's not bringing it ground, he's marking it. That's the scary part about him. He's such a great contested mark that he draws the defenders in.
Yeah.
I reckon what happened then was the players come off their opponents to try and help out the defenders, and it leaves the spare player like Jones free to crumb the ball.
From the restart, overrun by Treloar. Perryman puts a bump in there on Daniel, and the umpire says let's ball it up again.
And we are seeing some different styles in ball movement. The Bulldogs have been a lot more controlled and composed with the ball movement. The Giants a bit more chaos.
Bulldogs lead by 6 points. Pan past Perryman to Kelly, and now back to Perryman. Spins out on the McRae tackle. Shares it to Kelly again by hand. Sweeps it wide now for Finn Callahan. Out on the western wing. Evades Williams. Gets into stride now. Kicks inside 50. Runs too far.
Wow. Happened a few times last couple of weeks, guys.
Yeah, well, happened.
Giants players.
Twice to Tony Bedford last week, didn't it? In the derby. Finn Callahan, unlucky, I'd say, on that occasion. But
I thought he was a bit stiff, to be honest.
Williams will have it at left half back here for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, Jason's adding some great point. It's fascinating watching these 2 contrasting styles. The Bulldogs being really patient, and they are again, as Bailey Williams finds Alex Keith with a chip ball 15 metres further forward, gets it back to Williams. The Giants trying to run it out of defence with a lot more regularity. They kick from Keith to half back now for the Giants, picked off by Haynes. Shares the 1-2 with Lockie Whitfield, now has a bounce and keeps going. Finds Connor Ryden. They move it to the outer wing, the Giants, over the head of Daniel Lloyd and Taylor Duray, and over for a boundary throw-in. So 2 very different styles at the moment, and they're probably evening each other out. Well, they are, based on the scoreboard. The Bulldogs only up by a goal.
No, absolutely. It's mainly in the back half of the field that the Bulldogs have been quite composed and controlled. When they're getting forward to centre, they're definitely going long and direct.
The time on here in the opening term. One down to Cornelio. Clears towards half forward here for the Giants. Up goes Alex Keith. Lloyd there for the Giants lurking. Hand pass to O'Halloran. Puts GWS inside forward 50. Half volley pick up was awkward down there for Himmelberg. Shrugs the tackle down there of Jones. Tries to find some space with Kelly. Goes the fend on Bailey Smith. He dropped the footy. Umpire says play on. Contest here at half full for the Giants. Brought to ground down there was Ward. Now they can clear here the Dogs towards the outer wing. On the bounce it sits up for Buckley in the contest with Norton. Waitman though is lurking now for the Bulldogs. Turns them inside out. Skids a kick inside forward 50. Almost clean bowled Buckley. Norton greets him, wraps him up. Still alive here for the Bulldogs inside 50 though. Buckley mops up again. Shares it back to Iden. Tumbles his kick up the line here for the Giants.
Underneath it was Oscar Baker. Couldn't take the mark. Got hands to it though. A couple of Giants fall on him. We'll have a ball up, right half forward for the Bulldogs. They are 3-1-19. The Giants 2-1-13. 22 minutes gone in the first quarter.
I'm loving this Buckley-Norton duel. I think they've both had some really good moments so far. They're both competing super hard.
Trelaw with the tackle on his former teammate in Cornelio. Cornelio got the handball free though to O'Halloran. Lloyd, and now Tom Green throws it on the boot to half forward. DeRay couldn't take the mark. Well done by Gardner to evade a Daniels tackle. Handball to Richards, and now DeRay sends the Bulldogs back into attack. Over the head of Waitman and punched away by Connor Ryden. The ball sat though up and stayed in when everyone thought it was going out. So McRae gets it now for the Dogs. Kicks inside 50 and it's marked by Arthur Jones.
Strong start from Arthur Jones. You saw him kick a great goal before and great ability to go overhead there. He's not the tallest guy going around, but small guys that can take it overhead.
No, he had the one-on-one against Lockie Whitfield there, and I mean, Jones looks to be really good marking overhead. Whitfield, it's not his strong suit. He's certainly that player that you want to get free and use the ball off half-back. So if that is the matchup and Jones can expose him with that aerial contest, that's a win for the Bulldogs.
Arthur Jones, in just his 6th AFL game, kicks from 49 metres out on the angle. He's got 2 for the evening. Oh, the rookie's arriving on the AFL stage. Big quarter from Arthur Jones with back-to-back goals. The Bulldogs 4-1-25. The Giants 2-1-13.
Gave a bit of celebration to the crowd there, Garbs, as well. He enjoyed himself very much. But what I'm thinking here, Stato, is that both teams, they're really trying to go hard through the corridor, and they both don't mind going quick. But both teams defensively are putting enough pressure in there to just make, skill execution a little bit difficult. But what a terrific kick there from Arthur Jones.
Out of Mount Barker in WA, Arthur Jones. What a night he's having so far. Debuted back in round 3 against Brisbane. Had a recent contract extension only last week as well, announced at the end of 2025, so they see plenty in him. Why not?
Should have waited a week.
Spoken like true former player.
Yeah, correct. Week's a long time in footy, Garbs. Trust me.
24 gone here in the opening term in Canberra. The Bulldogs who lead by 12 points, and Bontempelli is wrapped up by Penrith. The umpire lets them play and now says play on. Trelaw drops it as well. Flynn goes in hard. Cornelio's kick smothered. Now trying again Trelaw for the Dogs. Hand pass to the outer wing to the run of Bontempelli. Held back there by Cornelio. Umpire again lets them play. Hand pass was too hot for Arthur Jones. Gathered by Flynn of the Giants. Now weaving his way through. Angwin skids it along here. There's Ash to O'Halloran. Fires a hand pass back to Kelly on that preferred left foot. Drives the Giants inside 50 towards the 2-on-2. Out the back, Jones. One down here to Duray. He's wrapped up 35 from the Giants' goal. And the umpire will ball it up. It's the Bulldogs who lead here. 4-1 plays 2-1. 12 points of difference, 25 minutes gone in the opening term.
Strong tackle by Brent Daniels inside 50 to cause the ball up. O'Halloran looks for a teammate. His handball is picked off by Bontempelli. Now Trelaw and McRae, they go to left half back. It'll sit up for Rory Lobb, who cops some boos from his former supporters. The former Giant, of course, he's turned it over to Nick Haynes. And the Giants can try and move it quickly on transition. Haynes to Connor Iden at centre half back. Spots up Cornelio, and now Lockie Ash. Plenty of football in the first quarter, Lockie Ash. His kick from half-back finds Daniel Lloyd. He was 3-on-1 against. He's marked at a left half forward.
Can you boo a player 2 clubs removed? He didn't leave to go to the Dogs. He went to Freo before that as Daniels puts them high inside forward 50. Looks for a contest. English at the front. At the drop now, Finn Callaghan. He recovers the football. Shrugs the McRae tackle. Comes here to Daniels, who straightens up from 25. Pulls it across to the left-hand side for a minor score. He kicked 4 goals here a fortnight ago, Brent Daniels. And he misses on this occasion. It's the Giants 2-2-14. The Dogs are 4-1-25. 26 gone in the opening term.
The Bulldogs play on quickly out of the goal square on this occasion.
Cal went to WA for Christmas and got booed.
They would too.
Just walking down the mall.
Absolutely.
Dale's precise kick found Trelaw, and he's now spotted up Tom Liberatore.
Played social basketball and got booed last week, believe it or not. I actually did. We lost the semi-final, guys.
The Dogs happy to switch it again. More on that story in a moment. Liberatore to Liam Jones. Now it's with Tim English, left half back. The mobile ruckman has a bounce. His kick to half forward, though, is a poor one for his standards, and is picked off by Tom Green.
Come on.
Possession number 11 in the first quarter coming up for him.
Makes the contest, middle Monaco rival. Flynn was beaten by the much smaller man and Daniel. And now Duray from just 4 to halfway. Drives up long inside 50 here for the Bulldogs. Waitman tries to get up there in front. Has Tamari Wagon for company. Slaps it away in space now. Tom Green goes in hard. The umpire will ball it up 35 out deep in the left forward pocket at the Bulldogs attacking end. It's they who lead here by 11 points. They circle here for the stoppage. Ball in the air, punched away by Flynn. Jones lurking there for the Bulldogs. Tapped on by Bontempelli. Now a hand pass to Smith. Off here to McRae. High ball inside 50 here. Lob gets set in the contest with Flynn. One down here to Iden of the Giants, and now Whitfield can clear as well. Turns it across his body. Out to the contest featuring McRae and Ward. And the former Bulldog in Callan Ward just thumps it out of bounds for a throw-in. 65 around from the Bulldogs attacking end at the pool end of Monica Oval. 4-1 plays 2-2. Margin 11. 28 gone in the opening quarter.
A reminder, Toby Green, a late out for the Giants. A massive blow to their chances, but certainly been competitive in this first quarter, to say the least, as Bontempelli snaps the Bulldogs inside 50. Well done by Connor Ryden up against Ugle-Hagan to win that contest. Handball inboard to Tom Green. Callahan's under pressure inside his own defensive 50. And Treloar looks for Ugle-Hagan, but the handball crossed the boundary line. So the boundary throw-in, just 45 metres out from the Bulldogs' attacking goal.
Umpire tosses it back in. English and Flynn up out the back. Williams there for the Bulldogs. Shrugs one tackle. Hand pass back to Jones. Wrapped up by Bedford. Lost it. Umpire says free kick Giants, and advantage paid as well. Daniels off here to Cornelio from behind the bullseye. Draws the player. Hand pass off to Ward. They're streaking forward here, the Giants. Hand pass to Kelly. Work forward here to Bedford. Seconds tick down in the opening quarter. He goes inside forward 50. It was too deep for Daniels, but Jesse Hogan arrives, leads up from full forward and takes a pretty simple chest mark in the end. 35 out, slightly right of centre.
I mentioned Jesse Hogan last week, but I think he's been a really serviceable player for the Giants the last couple of years. So, you know, he's been at a couple of clubs now. I just think he has been unreal. He's probably a little bit undersized for a key forward, but I just think he's made a terrific contest. And I reckon he's going to be lined for his second goal here, guys.
He's kicked 2 goals in each of his past 3 games. Here he is lining up for his second tonight. He's absolutely made a meal of that. He's missed right across and just sneaked it through for a minor score. So that will mean the Giants go to the break at 2-3-15. They trail the Western Bulldogs to a 4-1-25. Goal kickers in that opening term. 2 for Arthur Jones, a young rookie for the Bulldogs. 1 each to Ugle-Hagan and to Lobb, while for the Giants, only singles to Tom Green. It was the very first goal of the game on his home deck here at Monica Oval, and 1 to Jesse Hogan as well. This is Grandstand AFL from Monica Oval in Canberra on ABC Radio, News Radio and the ABC Listen app.
ABC Listen. It's hard not to love Bluey, whatever your age. So here's your chance to take a deep dive behind the scenes.
We showed a whole game of cricket, just shots of seagulls and churches in Adelaide. The cricket commentator was voiced by Adam Hills, who's an Australian comedian. He actually came up with a lot of the little puns, and they're really quite funny, so we sort of slipped them in where we could.
The new podcast, Behind Bluey, only on the ABC Listen app. Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Big Fen from Angwin gets a kick away high towards the hot spot here for the Giants. Sleeping up in the hole down there was Himmelberg. At ground level again, Ward shuffles the hand pass out to Tom Green, who can snap on the left. Tom Green, the local lad. What a way to start.
Bulldogs win the clearance, so long ball inside 50, picked up by Norton. Handball to Ugle-Hagan, and the instant reply comes from the Bulldogs. Rory Lobb looking for goal 150 of his AFL career. He has managed that. Jesse Hogan looking for goal number 15 of the season and his first of the night. It just sneaks in. They can go deep into attack, the Bulldogs. Heat to the top of the square. Off hands, picked up by Arthur Jones, and he'll snap a goal. Arthur Jones, in just his 6th AFL game, kicks from 49 metres out on the angle. He's got 2 for the evening.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital,
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Quarter time at Monica Oval in Canberra. The Western Bulldogs 4-1-25 lead GWS 2-3-15. You're with Brett Sprigg, Daniel Garb, Jason Saddington, Callum Sinclair, Adam Shirley. Meanwhile, at Perth Stadium, we're approaching the first change there. Fremantle 5-3-33 leads Hawthorn 3-2-20. Of course, you can find coverage of that game on the AFL Extra button via the ABC Listen app, where you can also find coverage of the King's coronation If you're looking for that, head to the Listen app, TV channel 25, or your local radio station on DAB Plus is where you'll find coverage of the King's coronation. In the meantime, though, 10 points the margin here, the Dogs' way. Our experts are Jason Saddington and Callum Sinclair.
I've enjoyed that first quarter. A couple of different styles, like we mentioned throughout the call there, Garby. I think the Bulldogs through the back half, just that controlled ball movement. They're taking it a bit slower. They're hitting the uncontested marks, trying to build up the play. And you can see that in the stats. The Bulldogs 34-18 in terms of marks. So that pumps up that different style of footy they're having. When they get forward to centre, they're going a bit more direct to Lob and Norton. We've seen a couple of great contests, Cal, from Norton. One allowed Jones with that fantastic Crum to kick a goal. He's been exciting up forward. Seen Crum a goal and kick one in his second game of footy. And then also 5 minutes later take a strong overhead mark and go back and kick a set shot. It's good variance from a young player to play. So it's been nice to see from Jones up forward. For the Giants, it's a bit more of a maybe freestyling, free-flowing game of footy. They've probably wasted some opportunities going inside 50. It's been pretty even in terms of that count. Hogan and Norton are probably the keys for me each end. Hogan's had some contests. You spoke about him late, Cal. He's been a really good player for the Giants in the past 18 months, I agree. He's started well. Norton at the other end as the marking player is really important for the Dogs. In terms of the mids, it's that the Giants' mids have probably got a bit more footy. Green's had 12, Canelio's had 11. But for the Bulldogs, they're finding their fair share of footy through there too, with Bontempelli 8, McRae 6, Treloar 6. It's an interesting game of footy, different styles, and I think what we'll find through the second quarter is which one maybe might start to get on top, if any, or are we going to see this game sort of kick into the second half before one team can grab an opportunity?
I agree, and I'm a big fan of Jesse Hogan, but what I'm finding with the Giants is they need to get the ball in there a bit quicker to him. They're just mucking around with it a little bit too much there in the middle of the ground. Yes, both teams want to come through the corridor, but what I'm seeing is overusing it by handball. He's a great one-on-one mark. They need to get the ball into him a bit more. Just looking at the turnover stats, 19-16. Both teams are turning the football over a fair bit, and it's predominantly in the middle of the ground. They both want to go quick, but Tom Green, I think he's had a terrific start to the game. He would have set himself up for this game, being the Tom Green fan club there on the other side of the ground. But just in more important news, that is a true story. I did get booed at the semi-final basketball during the week.
Who would boo you?
I reckon they were Perth supporters. Anyway.
By the way, earlier today, Richmond beat West Coast by 46. Speaking of your old club, Geelong beat Adelaide by 26, and in the game most recently completed, Melbourne beat Gold Coast by just 5 points at Carrara.
Just quickly, Sato, why would the Bulldogs, because we know they can play quick out of defensive 50 when they want to, why would they be opting to chip it around and go slow and keep possession before going long once they cross the wing? What would be the tactic behind that, do you think?
It's a good question, Garby. It might have something to do with the fact that they fear the Giants on the quick turnover. Because they are a bit more of a loose playing team this year. The Giants are a bit more offensive and attacking and are prepared to take some risks. So if you turn the ball over in the back half, it potentially becomes a bit more dangerous as opposed to if you turn the ball over in your front half.
We made the comment earlier. It's just interesting seeing they are trying to chipping it around a little bit. They've got two great key forwards. They've got... what's his name? Ugle Hagen. Ugle Hagen, Lob, Norton. They're doing terrific up there, but for some reason they kind of still bypass him going short.
Thoughts of Callum Sinclair and Jason Saddington on Grandstand AFL. Second term underway in Canberra. Bontempelli wins the clearance here. Hand pass, Liberatore had the arms pinned by Green. Gets a kick away though. Gathered by Callaghan. Now Flynn. The Giants can go forward. High ball inside forward 50. Too deep for Daniels. Second bite couldn't reel it in. Gets it back now from Himmelberg. Hand pass goes nowhere. Richards lays the tackle. Collected in there as well as Duray. The umpire says give it to me. 45 out from the Giants goal.
First quarter report in the ruck duel, Cal. I know you're a fan of the Flynn v English.
Correct. They're probably broken even a little bit. I don't think either of them have been as damaging around the ground.
Rain just drizzling down here at Manuka Oval. Ball in dispute inside attacking 50 for the Giants. Scott has it. Little handball to Bontempelli at centre half back, and they've lost the handle with the ball being a little bit slippery. Perryman with a sweeping hand pass out wide to Callum Brown. He kicks it though into Liberatore. Only goes as far as Josh Kelly. Kick to the top of the square. Tim English gets hands to it. Brent Daniels kicks it backwards to Finn Callaghan. Didn't go the 15 metres. Got boot to ball. Callaghan under pressure is Liam Jones. Cadman tries to grasp the football. It slips out of his hands. We'll have a boundary throw in, but chaotic now with the rain starting to come down in Canberra. Boundary throw in just next to the behind post for the Giants.
Bulldogs lead by 10. No change to our quarter time score just yet. Back in it comes Hogan. Down to Bedford. Hand pass off here to Kelly. Slaps it out here towards Ward. Tumbles it from the pockets. Superb finish from Cal Ward. There is no substitute for class. And Callan Ward, perhaps the greatest ever Giant so far, brings them back to just a 4-point margin. 3-3-21. The Bulldogs are 4-1-25. In the opening couple of minutes here in the second term on Grandstand AFL.
It's an absolute coach killer there. Defensive stoppage goals. I can guarantee you that Luke Beveridge will be in the box. He'll be analysing that stoppage with very thoroughly. So terrific goal though by Cal Ward, particularly in these conditions.
Yeah, and you're bang on there, Spriggy. Greatest Giant ever. Absolutely, I'll back that up around Cal Ward. He's like a fine wine. He's getting better with age. He's last season and this season, he's been absolutely terrific for the Giants. And I mean, class, like you said, in games like this, when it's tight, when the weather's starting to fall, you've got to be able to kick those goals, and he did.
Bulldogs lead by 4 points. Big goal, Callan Ward, after missing the derby last week through suspension. Here's Bontempelli, though, driving the Bulldogs into attack. Haynes couldn't mark. Ugle-Hagan went through the back of him. Claims for a free kick there, not paid by the umpire. A tackle by Josh Kelly on young Arthur Jones, who has a couple of goals to his name. Wraps the ball up at half forward for the Bulldogs. Bontempelli again with another possession. Kicks it into attack. Punched away by Haynes. Jones is there. He's tackled by Whitfield. Thrown to the ground illegally. And the ball is wrapped up, and we'll have a ball up inside 50 for the Dogs.
Up it goes. Flynn v English, and now a free kick for a high tackle going the way of the Giants. It was, in fact, the ruck infringing, so Flynn receives the free kick. Kelly, left boot, points it towards right half back where Bedford is waiting. Rain gets heavy here at Manuka Oval as well, down to Adam Shirley very shortly. As Bedford, the former Demon, made his club debut last week, kicked the goal, sends it up the eastern side. Bradley Dale out there for the Bulldogs, traps it at ground level. Works his way around Kelly. Has room to kick now. Just pumps it back up for whence it came. Bontempelli in the contest with Tom Green. One down here towards Johannesson. His kick just slides out towards half forward. McRae dummies the hand pass. Clever kick inside forward 50. Where's Ugle-Hagan? Norton's lurking as well. Kind bounce though for Buckley in defence. Shares it with Callum Brown on hands and knees. Callahan out here to Ward. Into the back of him was Daniel. Umpire says, let's ball. No, it's going to be a free kick for the push. So Ward gets the free kick and comes back here to Haynes at fullback.
The Giants run it out of defence. Haynes to Ash. Short ball finds Lockie Whitfield left half back. Bontempelli, 13 disposals, 10 of them contested, 7 clearances.
Getting a lot of attention too, Gubs.
The Giants said they would certainly do that with Marcus Bontempelli. Adam Kingsley not afraid to admit he'll go the hard tag on a player, but it's not working on the Bont at the moment. He is dominating it as he has done for most of the season. Ash goes short to Lockie Whitfield at left half back. Gives it back to Lockie Ash. Possession number 10 coming up for him.
Must be something about heading down to this end that you do the slow build-up in the back half, Garby. The Giants now taken to that style.
Every Bulldog behind the football, so Lockie Ash plays on, kicks it to half forward. Brent Daniels is outsized by Taylor Duray, and that's not saying much. Duray isn't tall, but Brent Daniels, one of the shorter men in the competition, off the hands of Taylor Duray, and will have a boundary throw-in just forward of the wing for the Giants. They are 3-3-21. The Bulldogs 4-1-25 as the rain comes down here in Canberra.
Around the grounds in Perth, Freo leads Hawthorn by 7. Same stage of play there. Back in it comes. Out in space, Bradley Dale couldn't get the kick away. Support from English. He was dumped as well, though. Flynn goes in hard for the Giants. Loose ball, Perryman, hand pass off. Cornelio kicks another great desperate attempt from Bontempelli. Goes inside 50 though for GWS. Tom Green's hand pass out towards Ward. Run down by Richards. Richards wins the footy back here for the Bulldogs. His handball chopped off by Halloran. Now Anglin slides in. Out to Lockie Ash. And now the umpires put a whistle here. Non-controlling umpire says free kick Giants, advantage paid as well. Isaac Cumming at half forward. 55 from the sticks. Goes closer to home now. Kick was too hot for Tom Green. Flynn there lurking for the Giants. Picked up, though, by Bailey Dale. Support from Treloar. And now Liberatore's kick smothered as well. Handball up to Treloar. Now Richards goes again. They can't clear out the defensive line here, the Bulldogs. Cademan's kick was smothered as well for the Giants. Bounced out towards the pocket. Picked up here by Oscar Baker. He was dumped. English goes to clear this time. Puts it straight down Matt Flynn's throat.
Bit of a tough
Ruckman marks 45 out.
Sados just gave me a little prod there, just saying, bloody Ruckman. But no, you are right there. You are right there. It was a quick kick, needed to be long, high to the boundary. For some reason, he just thought he'd bring it into the corridor. And Matty Flynn's now got a shot on goal. So this will be a big statement for Matty Flynn if he kicks this. He might just get the edge on English at this point in the game. I was more nervous about what's going to happen with his kick, Cal.
Just the 10 career goals for Matt Flynn. He had 5 years of injury setbacks. He's pushed it away to the right-hand side here. Still alive here for English in the pocket and doing the defensive work. Now Richards shrugs a tackle. Back to the big man English.
That's better
for the Bulldogs.
They finally cleared defensive 50 after about 4 or 5 smothers from the Giants a moment ago. They did so well to lock it in. So
they seem to be backing in their hands out of defence still, even though it is raining a bit. So interesting tactic, but hopefully it doesn't cost them.
Well, speaking of that too, I know you spoke about the teams are quite aggressive through the corridor at times in the first quarter. With the rain coming, whether that will change through this second quarter and teams will go a bit more safe.
These two rivals putting on a good show early on here in Canberra. The Bulldogs by 4 points. Up and under ball from Liberatore. Off hands, picked up by Cornelio. Manages to get boot to ball just. Lockie Ash gathers it on the wing. 1-2 handball with Perryman. Having a very good game, Lockie Ash. Drives the Giants deep into attack. Hogan works his way to the front. Got 2 hands to it. Couldn't quite bring it down. And we'll have a boundary throw in. Deep in attack for GWS. Right forward pocket. They are 3-3-21. The Bulldogs 4-1-25.
It's exactly what the Giants have got to do. Get it into him so he can have a contest.
Dogs lead by 4. 8 gone second term. Back in it comes. English rises above. Out in space though. Cornelio keeps it alive on the left. Borks now goes to the check side from the pocket. Misses near side for a minor score. And the Giants just close the gap ever more. Back to a 3-point game the Bulldogs' way. 8.5 played here in the second term.
He's third in the comp for contested marks, Jesse Hogan. And there was a game last year as another ball enters the field of play. So we'll have to take it back to the goal square for Johannesson to bring it back in again. Where it was driving rain, Giants Stadium. I think it was Giants against the Hawks.
Yep.
It was like it was a bone dry day for Jesse Hogan. So wait and see if he can bring those skills to the fore again tonight as Johannesson goes down the corridor and spots up Tim English at centre half back. Marks it and plays on. The Bulldogs in space over the head of Ugle-Hagan and Callum Brown. Callum Brown caught Ugle-Hagan high though. So free kick for the Bulldogs. Left half forward, 60 out. Ugle-Hagan kicked the first of the game for the Bulldogs. It's too far out to kick a goal from that part of the ground, but he finds Bontempelli in the pocket. The Bulldogs skipper having a fine season and a very big evening. Possession number 14 coming up. Will kick the banana, you would think, on his left from the left forward pocket.
That's the dangerous part of Marcus Bontempelli. He's always going to get a lot of footy. He's going to get a lot of clearances. But it's what he can do in the front 50 or the front 70 of the ground.
He'll snap it with his right. He can use both feet with ease, Marcus Bontempelli. He is a gem. And the Bulldogs are 5-1-31. The Giants 3-4-22. Possession number 14 early in the second quarter for Marcus Bontempelli is a goal.
He's getting a lot of attention tonight, and he's still just absolutely dominating. The hard bit about him is he's so, for a guy of his height, he's so good below his knees, and you just see the ability there to go overhead. He has the most dynamic game, I reckon, in the AFL. And I was going to say as well, Aaron Norton, I've just been watching him in this quarter. He might not have had a fair bit of the footy, but if you're a junior footballer out there that wants to see a key forward play, he is doing exactly what every coach would want to do. He chases. His pressure doesn't get enough credit, I feel, as a key forward in the competition.
Voice of Callum Sinclair on Grandstand AFL. Bulldogs back out to a 9-point buffer on the restart. Kelly. Hand pass picked up by Bontempelli again. Sends the Dogs ball of halfway. Inside 50, Ugle-Hagan couldn't juggle the mark, but he's paid the mark. I paid the free kick.
How clean is he out of the centre bounce?
Chopping of the arms.
So clean.
Ugle-Hagan. It was clean delivery from Bontempelli, the skipper. And Ugle-Hagan now will be 45 out. Slight angle to the right.
And reads it. Oh, he picked that. He could see the handball coming and he just thought, I can cut this off. He was sort of ahead of the game. from the other midfielders that were out there.
Jamara Ugle-Hagan, 2 goals against the Hawks last week. On the approach, sets it high here across the face of goal. Wasn't the intended opportunity for him. Norton lurking. Dumped in the tackle. Finn Callaghan can clear here for GWS.
He was under pressure and the Bulldogs are sitting under it at centre half forward. Bailey Dale marks and he'll send his team back into attack. He spots up Rory Lobb just inside 50 with the long sleeves, the former Giant. He's got a roost on him, so he'll fancy himself from 55 metres out straight in front. Picked his 150th goal of his AFL career in the first quarter, Rory Lobb. Looking to extend the Bulldogs' lead to 15 points. Distance is not a problem, nor is the accuracy. Lobb has 2. That is a beauty. And the Bulldogs have the jump on the Giants in the capital.
I feel like there's 2 teams in the competition, probably 3, but there's 2 in particular I'm thinking of that could really use a key forward. Fremantle and the GWS Giants. But, mate, what a goal. He's, once again, probably similar to Jesse Hogan. His last couple of seasons have been absolutely outstanding. Leading goal kicker at Fremantle last year. I'm sure they'll probably be absolutely gutted that he's not a target in their forward line at the moment, but now playing in the ruck, very dynamic player, and having a really good start to the season.
Absolutely, and I think this is where we're missing. Like, Hogan has been a good target for the Giants tonight. The Bulldogs, we mentioned Norton has been really good tonight. Lobb's obviously kicked a couple. This is where the Giants are missing Toby Green tonight. They just that extra target up forward.
Dogs out to a game-high 15-point lead. Meanwhile, Freo leads Hawthorn by 19 points midway through the second term over in Perth. Daniel goes to clear here for the Bulldogs, but he's wrapped up and will ball up again.
Cornelio now standing with Bontempelli, so perhaps there's been a change there from Perryman. They need to clamp down on the Bont, don't they?
Up it goes. Lobb wins it down in contest with Himmelberg. There was a free kick here in that ruck contest, and the umpire says it will go for a hold away of, in fact, Bontempelli. Who else has the ball in his hands on his preferred left side? Sends the Bulldogs inside forward 50. Ugle-Hagan leads up. It was a little too wide for him. Under pressure in defence. Buckley for the Giants. Runs out of room. Will throw it back in at the junction of 50 at left half forward for the Bulldogs. 6-1 plays 3-4. 14 gone here in the second quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Cornelio was standing with Bontempelli at the centre bounce. Perryman is back with him now. They need to keep Bontempelli quiet. That's easier said than done. Excellent handball from him to Caleb Daniel. Kick to the top of the square off hands. Nick Haynes is there. Connor Iden, was he caught holding the ball from Anthony Scott? Scott gets a handball out to Waitman. Now Bontempelli, not another goal from him. Spins out a couple of tackles. Ball spills free. He's caught holding the ball. The first mistake from the Bont all night. And the Giants will run it out of defence.
Callaghan's kick was an untidy one. Went to Daniel. Sends the Bulldogs back to the hot spot. Here up goes Bontempelli in the contest. Iden there doing the defensive work for the Giants. It comes to Haynes now. Hurried kick towards the painted defensive 50. Bedford comes and takes the chest mark. 40 from defensive goal here for the Giants. Just calms things down for a moment. Uses the corridor. Wants to find O'Halloran. Too deep for him and Alex Keith, his opponent. At the drop, though, Hogan comes through. Wins it away beautifully. Now sends his kick toward the outer side. Marking Himmelberg. 65 from goal here for the Giants. They're just streaming forward to the origin charcoal. Goes back to Lloyd. Strong overhead grab in the contest with Richards. And Daniel Lloyd clunks it 35 out directly in front.
I thought he was caught in 2 minds there, Richards. I kind of thought he was thinking, I've got a bit of time to spoil here, but Lloyd just had that terrific leap. But I think they got away with murder there, the Giants. They certainly did. They brought it through the corridor. Very risky kick, but I think it was Jesse Hogan that just was very composed and extremely strong in the middle of the ground.
100%. It could have easily gone back the other way, but they did get out of jail there, the Giants. There's an important kick from Lloyd. I thought Richards did well to come off his opponent, but just mucked up the last bit, like you said, caught in 2 minds with a spoiler mark.
Daniel Lloyd, the late in for Toby Green. On the set shot from 35 out, kicks through the ball and puts it straight through the middle. Back to a 9-point game. The Bulldogs continue their lead, 6-1-37. The Giants are 4-4-28. 9 points the margin, 16 gone second term. Grandstand AFL, Callum Sinclair, Jason Saddington.
And, you know, we've been talking a bit about Bontempelli this quarter.
Everywhere.
He is everywhere. The hard part is, like, Perryman's the go-to at the moment, and they're sticking with that. I don't know what other options they've got anyway. Like,
It's got to be a
Cornelio,
team.
Kelly, there's no other mix. There's no Matt De Boer in the past that could go to him to try and shut him down. They don't have that type of player anymore, the Giants, to go in there and do a stopping job.
To be quite frank, he's looking unstoppable at the moment. So you are right, though.
15 contested possessions from Bontempelli, 17 all up, 10 clearances and a goal. In the absence of Toby Green, he is more than making up for that removal of star power. As the Bulldogs win another clearance, this time through Liberatore's handball to McRae. Picked off, though, by Nick Haynes, who is fourth in the comp for intercept marks. He is back to some of his best form, Nick Haynes. It's up Connor Ryden at left half back in game number 50. Short to Callum Brown as the Giants just try to get their hands on the football a little bit in defensive 50. Bulldogs lead by 9 points. They switch it to the outer side. Now go up to half forward. Daniel looking for the crumbs off Cadman. Great mark, Cadman, in wet conditions behind his opponent. The number 1 draft pick has marked it 60 out from goal. Right half forward, goes short and finds Isaac Cumming.
Isaac Cumming holds it for a moment. Plenty of options inside 50 here for the Giants. Loads up. Sends it long towards the pocket. Running start O'Halloran, but English was in there first and paid the towering mark here in the defensive line for the Bulldogs. They lead by 9 points, the Western Bulldogs. 6-1 plays 4-4, 17 gone here in the second term. Short kick to Liam Jones in front of the scoreboard. He'll clear here for the visitors. Back to that eastern wing, but Buckley drops a simple chest mark. Lobbed out a mop up there for the Bulldogs. Richards kick smothered. In fact, it was Baker. One back here for Baker. Shares it with Duray. Overcooks the hand pass, though. Gathered by Daniels. So now under pressure, Cornelio. Arthur Jones does well. Swooping through here is Duray again for the Bulldogs. Ball comes to ground. Umpire circling, and he'll say holding the ball. And he will penalise here the Bulldogs player, Duray, who kept that ball into him. And Buckley, it is just forward of halfway here for the Giants. The ball in his keeping.
Tough call, that one. We haven't seen a lot of those paid tonight in the contest holding the balls.
Buckley in front of the hill. Kicks the Giants inside 50 into the pocket. Hogan is front position. Off his hands, players fall on the football. Hogan wraps up Jack McRae. So we'll have a ball up just a couple of metres in from the boundary line. Inside 50 for the Giants. They trail the Bulldogs by 9 points. We've gone 18 and a half minutes in the second quarter. Josh Kelly throws it on the boot. It is smothered, though. We'll have another boundary throw in attack for the Giants.
So what I'm liking about the Bulldogs, literally all 18 players are doing their best to get back and help out defence. So you can just tell it's been a massive focus from them during the week.
Back in it comes. Stoppage inside 50 here for the Giants. Hogan tangled up with English. Cleared away by Alex Keith. Himmelberg fires the hand pass back to Cornelio, though. Kelly works his way around Liberatore. Back to Finn Callahan up the boundary line with a hand pass, and now is forced over. Kelly is by Treloar. We'll throw it back in. 65 around from the Giants' goal. Adam Shirley, is the rain as heavy as it's been so far tonight?
Yeah, the showers haven't been too bad till now. You've got to notice the players still taking them out in front. Duke's out, but at this point now it's getting steady, and then there's a decent rain band coming in about 20 minutes. Will really turn into proper wet weather footy.
Bulldogs by 9 points.
Himmelberg's handball to half forward. O'Halloran got his head over the football. So the Giants win it back. Tom Green snaps them inside 50. Ed Richards is under it, though. Marks in front of Callan Ward and plays on quickly to left half back with Oscar Baker, the former Demon. He goes short to Jack McRae. Baker wanted it back. McRae ignored that. I'm just happy to chip it to Ryan Gardner. Deepest man in defence for the Bulldogs. He'll kick to a contest. O'Halloran and Bailey. Dale, well done, Dale. Oh, no. Just use his experience to work O'Halloran off the football and mark with his left bicep almost. Short to Treloar. Now Richards. The Dogs just happy to chip it across half-back.
He's on from centre-half back. There's Richards. Uses the corridor. High ball towards the contest. English out the back there with Himmelberg. Taps it away to his own advantage now. Wrapped up down there by Buckley. Gets the ball away. Ali Smith can tumble a kick towards the goal square. Waiting for it down there for the Dogs is Anthony Scott, who strolls into the open goal square and pops it through for the Bulldogs to extend their lead back to 15 points.
It's all well and good for the Giants fans to boo them, but Tim English, how strong was he in the contest? And I think that's probably an area of his game that he's really gotten better at. Probably 2 years ago, he's getting pushed off the footy there. He's getting caught holding the footy, but just to have composure, keep his feet, get that handball out, and what a great goal.
100% crucial in that one-on-one. You spoke earlier about the ruck contest. So English is definitely having a bit more impact. He's taking marks in the back half. He's been able to get forward. And he's starting to look more and more dangerous as game goes on. And we're going to see a lot of contests now. If the rain keeps coming, the mids become important. But even what the ruckman can do around the ground, and certainly the contest is important too.
Bulldogs 7-1-43, Giants 4-4-28. Meanwhile in Perth, Freo leads Hawthorn by 31 points. Time on second term there.
Bont back on the ground. Harry Perryman followed him into the centre square. The tag is on from Perryman. He's not succeeding at the moment though. Bont is having it all his own way. Ball in dispute on the wing. Tom Green gets boot to ball, works it up towards half forward. A clean balled Alex Keith. He would know about that as a cricketer on this ground, and picked up by Brent Daniels. He kicks into the pocket off the hands of Jones. It sits up for Cadman. He'll snap on his left, the youngster. Floats across the face. Watching it well is Ward. Like a fielder in the outfield, watching a sky ball. Cullen Ward was able to mark on his chest, just 15 metres out from goal. He'll kick from a 45-degree angle.
Clean hands from Cadman. We've seen that a couple of times now. He probably could have had the hands over the top.
Ward snaps his second of the night at an opportune time for the Giants. Margin back to 9 points now. The GWS Giants 5-4-34. The Bulldogs 7-1-43. And Cullen Ward has 2 against his former club.
And as we can see, the rain's really starting to get quite heavy out there now. Like I said, Cadman's hands have been really clean. He took a really good contested mark earlier. He was clean there at ground level. Probably rushed and panicked with a snap kick. When he had a player on in the goal scorer, he could have handballed across to. But luckily enough, Cullen Ward was there to read the play, take the mark. He's probably their go-to guy up forward outside of Hogan. They're going to need goals from other players. Lloyd's been busy. Callum Ward now with a couple. Daniels probably needs to get a bit more involved in the game if the Giants want to keep kicking goals.
I said before that Alex Keith was clean bowled. He did play a cricket game here for the PM's 11 in 2011.
Had a couple of them.
Against England. He was dismissed for 15. Not sure if he was clean bowled or not, but that's the score he made.
He played against the West Indians a couple of years later, and he actually got some really, good and bad figures. Tom Green shrugs the tackle here on the outer wing. Shares it to Cornelio. Flynn left it behind here. Daniel tries to keep moving there for the Bulldogs, and now English has the arm pinned by Whitfield. Bontempelli spun the tackle, got out of the way though. He had over the football. McRae was met front on by Flynn, and guess what? That means it's a free kick.
Darby, Manica cricket enthusiast to know that stuff.
Well, when Alex Keith is playing at a ground that plays some cricket, you've got to look up his cricket stats.
I think the term's nuffy.
He got pogoed by Chris Gale. He took figures of 4 for 71 off 7 overs against the two West Indians as well. So, took some tap. Got 4 wickets though. Got Chris Gale. Here goes the Giants off half back as Iden puts it out in front of Lloyd, and now it bounces out of bounds for a throw-in on the western wing.
How do you know? That's off the top of your head.
You know why? Because I did do the last PM's 11 game here in November, so I look up these little vagaries about when they've come before. It was the West Indians. That's why I think I had that Alex Keith stat fresh in my mind. Anyway. Righto, social basketball. Bulldogs lead here by 9 points.
As the rain comes down heavily now in Canberra, so a 9-point lead is a handy one as we get closer to half-time. Strong tackle by Matt Flynn on Anthony Scott, who kicked the Bulldogs' last goal of the game.
I was genuinely interested, Spriggy.
Thanks, Sato.
Flynn palms it down to Angwin. Ball in dispute at half-back for the Giants. Little toe poke from Flynn. The ruckman doing some dirty work. And the smallest man on the ground in Caleb Daniel falls on one of the biggest in Matt Flynn, and he's pinged him holding the ball. Half forward for the Bulldogs. Gets support from Joe Hannison. Directs traffic. Now kicks deep into attack. Lobs there off his hands. Picked up by Norden. Can McRae get to it? He tried to slap it back in play. It's off Josh Kelly's bright pink boot and over for a rush behind. So the Bulldogs lead by 10 points. We've gone 25 minutes in the second quarter.
Whitfield kicks out here for the Giants. Buys some space in the right back pocket. Now shares a short kick to Lockie Ash. Back to Whitfield. Could say locking it in the defensive line there for the Giants. Whitfield and Ash. Whitfield called to play on. In line for 200 games later in the year as well, Lockie Whitfield. Not many Giants have done that. In fact, just the one so far. Toby Green gets there in a couple of weeks' time. They work it by handy to Daniels on the outer wing. As the rain gets heavy here at Manuka, his kick was smothered right into the back of Alex Keith. And it's out of bounds for a throw-in in front of the old scoreboard. 7-2-44 the Bulldogs. The Giants are 5-4-34. Margin 10 points, 26 gone here in the second term. Meanwhile, at Perth Stadium, Freo leads Hawthorn by 31.
The only positive of Toby Green missing tonight, he gets to play his 200th in front of his home fans. Still, of course, they'd rather have him out there in a tightly fought contest like this one against a fierce rival. As we get close to half-time, the ball bounces off the chest of Brent Daniels in wet conditions. It's socketed forward by the Dogs. Here's McRae trying to control it. Does well to get it to Ugle-Hagan. Kicks... Sorry, that was Jones. Now he finds Ugle-Hagan. Controls it to himself. Finds some space. Excellent goal. Oh, no, he's just pulled it to the near side through for a behind. Couldn't believe he missed from there, Ugle-Hagan. Straight in front. He had so much time, maybe more time than he thought, and he missed on the near side.
Would have been great for his confidence, that goal, because we all know that he gets pushed off the footy a little bit in his young age, but still moved quite well.
The Giants chip around the defence. Whitfield to Buckley, and now back to Whitfield again. Lockie Ash at right half-back. A few of the fans have tried to find shelter as the rain tumbles down here in the capital. Now beyond offensive 50, the kick from Ash goes out of bounds on the full. So a clanger from him. The Dogs will get the ball back at left half forward here with a 11-point lead in their favour. 27 gone here in the second quarter.
The Giants just struggling with their ball movement, so the Dogs can put them under pressure again. Long ball from Bailey Smith. Big leap Norton off his hands. Buckley gathers it. Tries to exit defensive 50, but the Dogs sit under it. English and Keith are there. Brent Daniels does some dirty work. The 1-2 with Matt Flynn. At half-back, kicks to no one in particular. Will it sit up for a Giant? Gardner's watching it closely. Hogan bumps him off the football. Johannisen and Lloyd now try to offer support to their teammates. Strong tackle by O'Halloran on Bailey Williams. Giants fans want holding the ball. No prior opportunity. So a ball up just outside 50, and the game has sprung into life once more as we get close to half-time.
Bulldogs by 11. Up in the air it goes. Flynn down to Tom Green. High ball inside 50 here for the Giants. Out the back, Himmelberg. Gardner well positioned there in defence, but the Bulldogs can clear. A tidy kick, though. On the half volley for Giray. Into the back of him goes Bedford. Umpire says that's a hold, and the Bulldogs free kick at left full back.
Probably just a little bit rushed there, I thought, from Gardner. He probably just needed a little bit more support to let him know that he had a few more seconds just to get that ball long and deep.
In the side for Tim O'Brien. Ryan Gardner as Giray takes the free kick. Thumps it beyond defensive 50. It's off hands and over for a throw-in on the outer side in front of the Tom Green fan club marquee. The Giants trying to overcome 0-8 in their past 8 starts at Manuka Oval. And they've not beaten the Bulldogs in their past 4 encounters either.
And Tom Green is now standing with Bontempelli as this ball is thrown back in right in front of that Tom Green fan club marquee. Everyone a fan of Marcus Bontempelli tonight. Even if you're a Giant supporter, you can't help but admire his work. Here's Caleb Daniel, left half back. His kick bounces off the chest of Lockie Ash, so the Dogs can swoop. Waitman, Smith, and that's a strong tackle by Lockie Whitfield. And we'll have a ball up left half forward for the Western Bulldogs. It was Anthony Scott that Whitfield caught.
Up it goes. Flynn wins it down. Kelly trying to reach for it now. Flynn follows up at ground level as well. Waiting for a clearance. English shuffles it out here. Involved was Treloar. Gets it back on that left boot. Puts the Bulldogs back inside forward 50. Ugle-Hagan, it missed him. Bounced away from Lobb. Paddles it out the back here towards. They're only as far as Buckley sliding in. Oh, socket off the deck by Bontempelli on the last line, but it's through for a minor score. He is everywhere, the Bulldogs skipper at the moment. And one more to their score. The Bulldogs 7-4-46. The Giants are 5-4-34. Margin 12.
Time ticking down in the second quarter. Isaac Cumming will exit defence for the Giants to right half back. Over the head of everyone it goes, and it sits up nicely for Toby Bedford, who shows Duray a clean pair of heels and kicks the Giants into attack. Over the head of Lloyd, though, and Marco Johannisen. Perhaps that was the last chance for the Giants as we get close to half-time. The rain has subsided. That's good news. Here's Caleb Daniel bringing it out of defence for the Bulldogs. Spots up, guess who? His skipper, Bontempelli, looks for Norton on the lead, tries to control it to himself as it bounced in front of him. Flynn to Green, handball over the top, picked up by Treloar. Siren goes for half-time. The Bulldog lead is 12 points These two rivals going at it in the nation's capital. One of the matches of the round. It is not disappointing so far.
12 points the margin, as Daniel Garb mentioned. 2 goals each for Arthur Jones and Rory Lobb for the Bulldogs. Singles to Ugle-Hagan, Bontempelli and Anthony Scott in that second term. Join the goal kickers list as well. Meanwhile, for the Giants, Cal Ward has 2. Singles to Jesse Hogan, Tom Green and Daniel Lloyd. 7-4-46 plays, 5-4-34. The thoughts of our experts on Grandstand AFL, Jason Saddington and Callum Sinclair.
Yeah, well, I certainly thought the weather played a little bit of a part, but to be honest, both teams still felt like they were genuinely having a crack with their skills. I just thought I'd touch on a couple of things. I just thought the leadership of probably Marcus Bontempelli, he's unstoppable out there at the moment. You saw the mark he took down there in the goal square. He's been absolutely outstanding. His class around the contest, he's been so super clean. That's a problem for them at halftime. They're certainly going to have to do some work on that. And I'm thinking Tom Green, to be honest. I'm thinking, Kingsley says to him at halftime, mate, this is going to be, you've had a pretty good game yourself, but I think this second half, if you can shut him down, it'll probably go a long way to us winning the game. I think the key forwards from the Bulldogs, they seem to be a little bit more adaptive to the conditions. They're making a contest. Ugle-Hagan, mate, to be honest, he's demanding the football a lot more than what he has been the last couple of seasons. I just think he's probably just lacking a little bit of strength in these conditions, just getting pushed off the footy a little bit too much. English began to start to have a bit more of an influence over Flynn, but how I see that kind of quarter, I just still felt the Dogs felt a little bit more balanced over the whole entire game. Defence, they looked very, very good, but look, it's still a close contest, but for me, I just think the Dogs are just that far, a little bit ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree, Cal. I think it was the Dogs' influential players and their key players probably had a bit more influence in that quarter. Obviously, Bontempelli we spoke about throughout the quarter. He really dominated that quarter in terms of possession, in terms of his impact in that front half of the field, getting shots on goal, setting up goals. He was certainly the key player out there, more so than a Tom Green and a Canelio in terms of the Giants midfield. Bontempelli's the one that's having more impact. And definitely up forward as well, Every time the Bulldogs go forward, Ugle-Hagan, like you mentioned, looks dangerous, looks like he's got some presence. As opposed to the Giants when they're going forward, it's a little bit of a tougher scrap, or they're going quick and they're probably getting outdone by the Bulldogs players getting back. It's been by chance that Callum Ward's been able to kick a couple, or
I don't
Daniel
think the Giants means are helping them, though, to be honest. I still feel like they're handballing a little bit around the back. They're still trying to just overuse the footy a bit, and that's hurting Himmelberg, Hogan.
Yep.
It's just...
But the Tom Green one's an interesting one because he's... when you say go to Bontempelli, they need to look at something. I don't know what other options they have outside of Perryman. It's probably taken away some of Perryman's influence as attacking player as well. Tom Green is a player that wins a lot of his possession in the first half, and the longer the game goes, he does drop off in terms of the amount of ball he wins. So it's not the silliest thing that I've ever heard thrown up there, Cal, to have him maybe go to more of a lockdown.
Particularly from a ruckman. Yeah. I knew you were thinking that. I could just picture it's pretty.
They had 4 more inside 50s in that second term. Not a huge discrepancy as far as opportunities inside 50, but the Dogs could have put the game away a little bit, couldn't they, in that second term? Given the rain falling as well, you kick away, you've got a sort of 4 or 5 goal lead, then all of a sudden things are sort of curtains. But the game is still there for the Giants.
That's been part of the Giants' footy for the whole year. They keep hanging in there and scrapping away, and they've never found themselves out of a game. Even 2 weeks ago, and we're here watching the Brisbane game. Whilst they're never in a position to win, they never dropped out of the game of footy. And they're hanging in there again tonight. They did it last week. The big one for the Giants is their third quarter. Now, that's been horrendous all year, so interesting to see what they can come out with and what looks different potentially for them this week in that third quarter.
They've had these drop-offs all season long. Just these little moments in games where they lose concentration, the opposition gets a run on them. So Adam Kingsley will obviously be hoping that doesn't occur in this second half, because they are well and truly in the absence of Toby Green, and they've done that pretty well despite those lapses. They've managed to still stay in games and fight back. Last week they managed to get over the Swans in the last minute against Brisbane. The game just gets away from them late 2 weeks before, but they can hang in. They'll have so much confidence from their ability to go the 4 quarters even without Toby Green, but they need to find a way to stop the Bond because he's doing as he pleases.
By the way, here, so 12 points the margin the Bulldogs' way with the second half to come very shortly. ABC News coming up as well. If you're looking for coverage of the King's coronation tonight, head to the ABC Listen app, TV channel 25, or your local digital radio station. I'm sure by now, if you're across all that, you'll have tuned in to discover that. Hopefully you're still with us on the radio commentary, of course, as your Saturday night rolls on here on Grandstand AFL. News coming up. Meanwhile, in Perth, it's halftime there as well. Freo 10-4-64 leads Hawthorn 5-3-33. So a 31-point break at the major break to Fremantle. Earlier, Richmond beat West Coast by 46 at the MCG. Geelong over Adelaide by 26 at Greenyer Park. And at Carrara, it was Melbourne in a thriller, 13-12-90 to 13-7-85 over the Gold Coast Suns. More from Jason Saddington, Callum Sinclair, Adam Shirley on the boundary, and Daniel Garb as well. My name is Brett Sprigg. Right now, it's time for us to head to the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News with David Rowlands. King Charles has arrived at Westminster Abbey for his coronation. Europe correspondent Nick Dole reports from London.
It's been a drizzly day in London, but thousands have braved the weather to see the King ride in the back of an Australian-built carriage on the way to the Abbey. With him was Camilla, who, according to the royal website, is to be known as Her Majesty the Queen. The royal couple have made their way into the Abbey. Their closest family members are sitting up the front, including Prince Harry, who walked in alone. Nick Dole, ABC News, London.
Tens of thousands of people from Britain and across the globe have gathered in central London to witness the historic moment. A few Australians have even been spotted in the crowd.
So we've come all the way from Australia, if you hadn't guessed the accent. I've got the Harbour Bridge as my tiara. I've got my little pins, my kangaroo and my Australia. And this is a Holden badge from one of our popular cars.
We don't have royalty or the medals, but we've got our own. We've got the flag, we've got a kangaroo sign, Bluey, and ACDC as well. What's more Australian than that?
The Anglican Bishop of South Sydney, Michael Steed, says the coronation is a Christian act of worship.
All of the elements in it are acknowledging rightly the King and his rightful place in the country, but in subservience to a King of Kings and Lord of Lords. It's set within the context of a communion service, but first and foremost it is an act of worship where the Church is recognising the King on behalf of the nation.
To other news, and Saudi Arabia is to host the first face-to-face talks between the warring sides in Sudan. News of the talks comes after the failure of several ceasefires. A joint US-Saudi statement has welcomed pre-negotiation talks between the Sudanese Army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. The Sudanese Army says the talks aim to address humanitarian issues, while there's been no official comment from the Rapid Support Forces. There's a fresh motion to boot controversial Victorian MP Moira Deeming out of the state's Liberal Party. Christina Cavalieri has the story.
Opposition leader John Pesutto has announced he's received a notice of motion from 5 Liberal MPs seeking her expulsion. He says MPs will head to a party room meeting on Friday to vote on Miss Deeming's expulsion. It's understood James Newbury, Matthew Guy, Cindy McLeish, Roma Britnell and Wayne Farnham have all co-signed the notice of motion, claiming she's brought discredit on the parliamentary party.
Moira Deeming denies that she's planning to sue the Liberal Party. It's hoped a United Nations designated site on Sydney Harbour will now be repaired following extra money to be allocated in this week's federal budget. Sydney Harbour's Federation Trust is set to get an additional $45 million for urgent work at 9 major sites. Federal Environment Minister Tanya Plibersek says there's been years of neglect and underfunding. The Trust's Executive Director, Janet Carding, has welcomed the additional money and says Cockatoo Island will be one of the first key areas.
So in particular, the historic Fitzroy Dock that was dug out by convicts as part of their hard labour over many years and is one of the primary reasons why this island was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site is in urgent need of maintenance.
A South Australian pedophile deemed to be a high risk of committing child sex offences will be released from jail because there are insufficient rehab courses available to him in prison. Megan Dillon reports.
The man has served his sentence for procuring a child to commit sexual activity, but Attorney General Kaya Ma applied to the Supreme Court for him to remain locked up. 2 psychiatrists found he was in denial about his sexual interest in children, and there's a high risk he'll re-offend without undergoing rehabilitation. The court was told the man wouldn't be able to do the 15-month group-based program at the jail's sexual behaviours clinic until 2024. The judge said it was highly regrettable corrections did not have any other programs available, and the offender couldn't be detained indefinitely.
Trains are running again on the Blue Mountains line west of Sydney following a car landing on some train tracks. Police say the man was driving on the adjacent Great Western Highway at Falconbridge when the accident occurred. He has suffered minor injuries. Nikki Moy from New South Wales Transport Management says there are still some delays though.
However, we are still advising passengers to continue to allow extra travel time because those trains that are running, they may be less frequent and the trips may take longer than they usually would.
And finally, in sport, in the NRL, the Dolphins have proven too good for the Sharks, 36-16 at Lang Park. ABC News.
What's the best thing in the world that's also on the ABC Listen app? The footy! This season, get your footy live and ad-free on the ABC Listen app. AFL, NRL, men's, women's. Whatever you fix, we've got you covered.
She's got it! Bye-bye! See you later!
Every goal, try, mark and tackle. Called by ABC Sports' expert commentary team.
Set,
AFL and NRL, live and ad-free. Get it on the ABC Listen app.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Hogan down to Bedford. Hand pass off here to Kelly. Slaps it out towards Ward. Tumbles it from the pockets. Superb finish from Cal Ward. There is no substitute for class.
Little Hagan is too far out to kick a goal from that part of the ground, but he finds Bontempelli in the pocket. He'll snap it with his right. He can use both feet with ease, Marcus Bontempelli. He is a gem. With his 150th goal of his AFL career in the first quarter, Rory Lobb. Distance is not a problem, nor is the accuracy. Lobb has 2. That is a beauty. And the Bulldogs have the jump on the Giants in the capital.
Daniel Lloyd, the late in for Toby Green. On the set shot from 35 out. Kicks through the ball and puts it straight through the middle. Paddy Smith can tumble a kick towards the goal square. Waiting for it down there for the Dogs is Anthony Scott, who strolls into the open goal square and pops it through for the Bulldogs to extend their lead back to 15 points.
He kicks into the pocket off the hands of Jones. It sits up for Cadman. He'll snap on his left, the youngster. Floats across the face. Watching it well is Ward. Ward snaps his second of the night at an opportune time for the Giants.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Half-time at Manuka Oval in Canberra, where the Western Bulldogs lead GWS by 12 points. 7-4-46 plays 5-4-34. You're with Brett Sprigg on Grandstand AFL. Your texts are welcome, 0437 774 774. We are, for better or worse, sharing a text line with not only the other footy game happening tonight, Freo Hawthorn, but also the King's coronation. So all kinds of contributions coming through about different things. But thank you to Rory in Melbourne, who's a blind listener. I love your contributions as always, Rory, your correspondence. I love the commentary. He says, are the orange and red of the Giants and Bulldogs the same shades of orange and red as traffic lights? Curious question. I'd say the red probably is. Red's a fairly definitive sort of shade on most footy jumpers. The orange, if you sort of say traffic lights are amber, it's a pretty bright orange, but don't know if it's the same as traffic lights. Anyway, Roy, thank you for your text as always, 0437 774 774, and you can keep your texts coming right throughout the evening as well as we wrap things up here on this Saturday night. Earlier at Carrara, Melbourne beat Gold Coast by 5 points. It was the Cats by 26 over the Crows in Geelong. And at the MCG, Richmond beat West Coast by 46 points. Full coverage across the entire weekend, of course. It all starts up again tomorrow from midday with Corbin Middlemass and the Grandstand AFL Sunday team. Find it all on the ABC Listen app. Just look for the ABC AFL button. Or if your game is not found live, you can look for the AFL Extra button, which is where you can find Fremantle versus Hawthorn right now. As for the King's coronation, Callum Sinclair, where can you find that? That's on the ABC Listen app, TV Channel 25, or your local radio station on DAB+. Around the grounds quickly as well across other sports. In the NRL, of course, it's Magic Round, and all the games happening at Lang Park in Brisbane. Currently, South Sydney 16 leads the Melbourne Storm 6. Early stages in the second half there. Earlier, the Dolphins beat the Sharks 36-16, and the Panthers over the Warriors 18-6. In Super Rugby, second half, the Waratahs 24 lead the Queensland Reds 17. Super Netball, the Giants went down to the Thunderbirds 54-50. And in the A-League Men elimination final, of course, the Sydney Derby, for the first time ever, if I'm not mistaken, Garby, those sides have met in a final. Half-time there, the Wanderers won. Leads Sydney FC 0.
Adelaide already through to the semis, of course. So Western Sydney trying to, and Sydney FC, trying to go through to the next stage along with the Reds.
All right, and saying they're two-leg semi-finals?
Two-leg semi-finals. These are elimination final, one leg.
Yep.
So
next week.
Adelaide will take on Central Coast in a semi-final. That's locked away, and the winner of this game will meet Melbourne City in the other two-leg semi-final.
So two-leg semi-finals, and then a standalone final in Sydney, which was
the grand final.
Very popular, of course, and that was announced several
not quite
months ago. Teams are back out there, second half not too far away. Jason Southington and Callum Sinclair, your experts on Grandstand AFL. It's not raining at the moment, which is handy for Adam Shirley on the boundary, down to him shortly as well. But a few of those numbers, Garby, as well. Just on, I'll lead off with Bontempelli. 19 touches, 15 contested, 10 clearances, 6 inside 50s, 2 score involvements and a goal of his own as well. Just extraordinary. The rest of the numbers at half-time?
He's been so dominant. Tom Green having a good night as well. 19 disposals, 5 tackles, 5 clearances, 3 score involvements and a goal as well, Tom Green. He's doing his best for the Giants. Lockie Whitfield and Josh Kelly both have 16. Lockie Ash very busy across half-back with 15 possessions, 6 marks. Stephen Canelio with 15 touches. Connor Iden in his 50th game has 12. Very rare he reaches that number by half-time. Treloar has 18 for the Dogs as well. McRae 15. And Tim English only 11 last week in the win over the Bulldogs, has 12 to half-time. So prolific as per usual, the Bulldogs ruckman.
What's the key for the Giants in this second half then to find their way back in?
Competitive third quarter is a good start. It's one thing they haven't had throughout the year so far, Spriggy. So, they need to come out and make sure that they at least stay within close contact through this third quarter. Even last week against the Swans, even though they won the game, it wasn't their best quarter of footy. And it's been a problem for them all year. They need some avenues to goal up forward, I feel, the Giants. Without Toby Green down there, who's going to stand up? Can it be Brent Daniels? Can he hit the scoreboard?
Or a Halloran?
Yeah, well, Halloran's been a goal kicker of recent weeks. Cadman, you haven't seen a lot of tonight. I know he's only a young player, but they do need some players to step up forward for them to be able to kick some goals. And the other key is, can they contain Bontempelli for the Giants to be a chance? For the Bulldogs, I mean, they probably need to just continue on in their ways here. I think, even though they're a couple of goals up, they've probably had the better of that first half, Cal.
I think the difference is that the Giants just breaking down forward of centre. Look, both teams are out there having a crack, but the Western Bulldogs, when they're looking to go inside 50, they're just looking a lot more dynamic.
Yep.
But I think, look, Harry Himmelberg's the one for me. He's played a little bit forward, then they're bringing him more as a forward. They need to find a way to get him into the game, because at the moment, is he getting a little bit of attention? Probably not. I've seen him running around a little bit, but I think he's a guy in that team that really, really needs to step up in the absence of Toby Green. He's at the stage of his career where he needs to start showing a little bit more leadership, and there's big bucks on the table from the team down the road with Harry. So I think it's a great opportunity for him to bring him into the game. But in terms of the conditions, it seems to be clearing up. So I don't think both teams have adjusted their style too much, to be honest. But look, great first half, but I think all the pressure's on the Giants.
Bulldogs by 12 points here. By the way, in Perth, it's still half-time. Fremantle 10-4-64 leads Hawthorn 5-3-33. I should also mention out of today, match review officer has pinged Nick Newman 1 week for striking Lockie Neal out of last night's game, Brisbane's win over Carlton. So old teammate of yours, Cal Sinclair at the Swans.
Yeah, he's a fiery little character, Newey. So... wouldn't have thought he would have done that to Lockie Neal.
By the way, it's sort of topical, I suppose, as far as the Tassie team coming in 5 years' time, as far as whether Canberra could stand on its own as an AFL team. You do get a nice atmosphere, don't you, at these Giants games. 3 games a year in Canberra the Giants play. They are some of the highlights of the year if you follow the Giants week to week as we do. I don't know. It is in many ways it was a footy heartland before, I guess, the Raiders and rugby union came to town as well, and sort of took the mantle there. As Canberra does have a nice sort of underbelly of footy fans. You never quite know what the future holds, but the Giants have a good relationship here.
I hate to say it as a West Australian, but if there is an option for a 20th team, this seems the most logical one. Their connection with the Giants might make it difficult, but hey, in 10 years' time, when ready for a 20th team, maybe things have changed.
Time for a broader conversation another time, I'm sure. Second half not too far away here. Daniel Garb getting us back underway on Grandstand AFL.
Tom Green standing with Bontempelli. Is he the man to try and put the clamps on the Bont? He wins this clearance after the handball from Kelly and snaps it to centre half forward, does Tom Green. There is Bontempelli, though, didn't take it cleanly. McRae does, gives it back to the Bont. Kicks it to half forward over the head of Norton and Buckley. Tracking it is Iden. Handball to Buckley in support now. Drives it up the wing for the Giants. A leap from Keith spoils what would be a marking attempt from Flynn, and it's over the boundary line in front of the Bulldogs dugout. We'll have a throw in on the wing. The Bulldogs lead by 12 points early in the third quarter. Here's Brett Sprigg on Grandstand AFL following a special comments from Jason Saddington.
I'm wondering when Cal Sinclair is getting into coaching, because Green's gone to Bontempelli.
Smart man for a ruckman. Back in it comes. Bontempelli. He can clear. Out towards half forward. Drops down there by Isaac, coming in defence. Waitman swooping through here for the Dogs. Here's with Bailey Smith. And now back to Baker. Turns Kelly inside out. Back to Smith now. Loads up. High ball inside 50 here for the Bulldogs. Lob out to meet the football. The drop, though, it's Liberatore. Kicks through traffic. Tumbles it towards the goal square. It'll skid across the face and through for a minor score. The first score is a minor one the Bulldogs' way. And their lead goes back to 13 points early stages, quarter number 3.
And we will watch this contest because it's one clearance each at the moment.
Agree, but it's also going to force Bont to be a little bit more accountable as well.
Isaac coming as the football runs out of the defensive goal square, kicks it up to right half back for the Giants, off the hands of Hogan, controlled down beautifully to Kelly, and now Daniels needs to be precise with the kick to Ward. Reading it well was Bailey Dale. He just gets in front of Ward and taps it over the boundary line. Half forward for the Giants. 5-4-34. The Bulldogs 7-5-47. A strong rivalry between these two clubs. No Toby Green for GWS, the hero from last week. You can stand up for them in this game and drag them back into the contest. Tom Green, perhaps. He wins the handball, but it's turned over to Oscar Baker. Now Bailey Dale. An accurate kick out of defence finds Bailey Smith. Short to the Bont on the wing. Kicks the Dogs inside 50. Coming out to meet it is Waitman. Marks on the chest. Well done from Cody Waitman in the long sleeves. Got in front of Isaac Cumming, who's much taller than him, but used his body. Take the chest mark. He'll kick from 45 out, 45-degree angle.
You can see him approaching that ball. I'm just watching the replay now. That's a player that knows his craft as a small forward. Just positioned himself, his body very well. Timed that moment when he could just, get those hips in front of his defender. But I think as a defender, he'd be pretty disappointed in himself in that contest.
5 goals against the Giants in the win in Sydney last season. 36 goals last season, Cody Waitman. And that is a big one here in Canberra for his Western Bulldogs. Waitman is accurate. Margin out to 19 points. The Dogs 8-5-53. The Giants 5-4-34.
And again, not the start the Giants wanted. With third quarters, we did speak about hasn't been their go-to. A goal 3 minutes in for the Bulldogs. We'll see how this continues to play out. You mentioned there through that earlier passage of play about the rivalry. Fascinating. We haven't seen any niggle whatsoever tonight. You wouldn't even know there's a rivalry there, would you?
Do the Giants need to maybe spark something up to get themselves going?
Well, that's the absence of Toby Green.
Possibly.
I personally feel that Toby's very good at understanding when the boys need a bit of a fire-up. Leads by example. You saw last week, he put Callum Mills on his backside at half-time.
Yep.
Who knows what sort of impact that has on your teammates.
4 minutes gone, third term. Dogs out to a game-high 19-point lead. Back at the restart, Kelly trying to shoot with Cornelio. Cornelio soccers off the deck in the direction of Tom Green. Beats McRae to the football. Dummies the hand pass. Now kicks around Liberatore. Back goes the hand pass. Dummy the kick. Hands to Cornelio. Now up to Kelly. From 55 can close. It was a hurried finish though. It triples across the face and over for a boundary throw in. Deep at right full forward for the Giants. Attacking the Cathedral end here at Manuka Oval. It's the Bulldogs though who lead by 19 here in quarter number 3.
When Josh Kelly's getting the ball 60 to 70 out, you expect him to do a bit more with the footy there. It was a poor option. He was in two minds and he ended up kicking nowhere.
Boundary throw in attack for the Giants off the hands of Hogan, and Himmelberg slides into the boundary, trying to keep the ball in play. We'll have another boundary throw in. Hogan and English doing the ruck work. English works his way to the front, palms it down for Bontempelli, spills free to Brent Daniels, throws it on the boot, out of bounds on the full though. Bulldogs lead by 19 points here in Canberra. We've gone 5 minutes in the third quarter.
They kick in quickly here, the Bulldogs. Finds English. Off by hand to Gardner. Up the outer side of the ground here at Monica Oval. Strong grab. Taken outside there by Anthony Scott. Pinpoint back into the corridor for Treloar. He can work it on by foot again to half forward. Johannesson marks 49 from goal. Looks at the options. He may test himself with this, Jason Johannesson. He's certainly not, it's not beyond him, this distance. And he's going back to just have a little closer look, and he'll, in fact, take the set shot from just beyond the 50.
They were just able to switch the angles up on the Giants there and work their ball forward. And again, another strong contested mark. I think it was Scott that time. We saw Waitman take a strong contested mark against Cumming earlier. He kicked the goal. That passage of play, another strong contested mark, one-on-one.
Johannesson on the approach, gives it a belt from 55. Rides it right to the line, all the way home for the Norm Smith medalists. The Dogs are kicking away. It's out to a 25-point buffer. 9-5-59 plays, 5-4-34. The third team has been all the Western Bulldogs so far. 6.5 played in it here on Grandstand AFL via ABC Sport.
I'll tell you what, the Giants would be really disappointed. I'm saying the coach's box would be really disappointed with themselves with that passage of play. The Western Bulldogs brought that from coast to coast, from the back pocket. A crucial one-on-one contest in the middle of the ground. That was their opportunity to turn it over, spoil that ball back in the corridor, and really capitalise. It's also a problem. They need some players to step up now as well. They need some players to, I don't know, start a little bit of niggle, as Garb said, get a little bit of aggro. That's something that they're going to have to review. If Toby's not there, which player in this squad's going to do it? There's enough out there. There's Ward, there's Cagnilio, Perryman, Hogan.
Dogs by 25 points. The Giants haven't beaten their rivals since the 2019 elimination final. They need to get going if they want to change that record. Bailey Williams picks it up for the Bulldogs on the wing. Handball inside to English. Now Liberatore. Dogs into attack again. Over the head of Norton. Off hands. Looking for it is Arthur Jones. Can he kick his third of the night? Goes back to Hugo Hagen on his non-preferred right. That is up and under. The ball almost went backwards. Bounces away from Anthony Scott. Giants under pressure though. Iden. And now Lloyd tries to snap. GWS outside defensive 50. O'Halloran just palms it down to Cornelio. Now the Giants can get some run. Here's Perryman. Kicks one over the top to Hogan, who hauls it in.
One-hand mark taken by Hogan, just forward of the bullseye. They're streaming forward now for the Giants. Can they find some scoring options? Hogan holds the footy for a moment. Sends it long inside forward 50. It's a wide kick as well. English goes back. Oh, it's his teammate there. Williams coming the other way. And he's wrapped up by Perryman. Brings it to ground 40 out. The Giants have held up that killer whale signal from those big placards, which we think, our theory was that it killed the momentum, which the Bulldogs had plenty of in this third term so far. Margin here is 25 points from the clearance. McRae can clear out of bounds on the full. The Giants will get the ball back from just forward of halfway.
I know Tim English didn't mark the ball there, but I think Matthew Flynn needs to start being a little bit more accountable. He's probably getting a little bit outworked by Tim English. He's a terrific runner. Just needs to hang in there with his tank.
Here is Matt Flynn. A high ball inside 50 for the Giants into the pocket. Well done, Ryan Gardner. Jumped across the top of that pack, third man up, and fisted it over the boundary line. Boundary throw it inside the pocket for the Giants, attacking half.
Even that previous entrant, Hogan had it about 80 out. You could see he was looking for options. No one was really presenting. They all just drifted back, nothing to go to.
Back in it comes. Hogan wins it down only as far as Bailey Smith. Shares the hand pass to Richards. Hurried kick, came off the bonds, I think, of Tom Green, or it's just ricochet out of bounds for a throw in again inside forward 50 for the Giants.
It's almost like Hogan was looking for Hogan. He was looking for someone like himself to actually present or have a presence up inside that.
Matthew Flynn was calling for the ball 55 metres out. Get to the goal square.
Can Hogan be the hero? Doing the ruck work with English. Well done by Caleb Daniel. Ball in dispute. Just tapped it down to Bailey Smith. He threw it on the boot. Well watched by Isaac Cumming though. So the Giants with a little bit of pressure being placed on the Dogs here. They need to convert these opportunities into a major. Trailing by 25 points. Here's Isaac coming. 65 out. He'll pop it up into a dangerous area. Flynn is there, so is Hogan, off hands. Canelio trying to track it. It goes straight through the legs of Tom Green. Was that a throw out by Liberatore? Some members of the crowd certainly thought so. Richards, McRae, and now Bailey Smith on his left. Excellent smother from Finn Callaghan. His second smother of the night. Picked up by Smith. He's able to clear defensive 50. Underneath it is Callum Brown. He's tackled. Ball spills free to Norton. Cutting it off was Iden. Finds Canelio. Centre half forward for the Giants. Wanted Callaghan. Now handballs to O'Halloran instead. He can have a shot on goals over O'Halloran. Just misses. Drew Frey behind. Giants not taking their chances. Margin 24 points in favour of the Bulldogs.
That was a bit better. Caused a bit more pressure there, but still just clumsy.
It doesn't look like there's enough dangerous activity up in that front 50, does there? Every time it goes in, you just can't see them finding a way to kick goal other than by a bit of luck.
Richards kicks out here, only as far as Brown floats across the Giants. Intercepts it right half forward. Does the killer whale signal mean if you don't stem the flow, things might get awkward, maybe?
Hey.
I'm trying to think of a theory here. Callum Brown, the Irishman, sends GWS back inside forward 50, floating across. Daniels was beaten through the air by Richards. Set the drop by Halloran, brought to ground. Umpire says let's ball up. 20 out from the Giants' goal. Cathedral, and it's the Bulldogs who lead by 24 points. 9-5 plays 5-5 in both of this third term.
And maybe a stoppage is the way to go. They might create
Hogan
something.
plucked it out of the ruck. Sorry, boys. The ball was looking goalward for a moment. It hit the post. So Jesse Hogan trying to take it upon himself to get something going for the Giants. Almost did. Margin back to 23 points after his shot a goal hit the woodwork.
So Hannison, short kick to Gardner from the kick out. Now English marks it right half back for the Bulldogs.
But it did look like their best avenue to goal was perhaps get a stoppage inside that 50, and maybe a Green or a Hogan can do something.
Bulldogs by 23. Comes inboard now for McRae. A three-time All-Australian retreats back inside defensive 50. And now Gardner back across to Jones. Off balance, but he finds a kick on the switch here towards left half back for Duray, the former Hawk. Comes back infield now. He's put down late by Bedford. The umpire was, I think I'm going to say downfield. Now it's with Alex Keith on the western wing. Draws the player. Hand pass to Bradley Williams. Back to Liberatore. Under pressure. Back to Williams now. Duray. Bet solely by Bedford and dragged towards that boundary line on the western side. There'll be a throw in. There's a bit more intensity from the Giants. And Toby Bedford in his second game in the orange and charcoal. Affecting that tackle on Duray. We'll throw it back in. About 75 around from the Bulldogs' goal at the pool end. It's Dale who lead by 23.
You frustrated there, Kelly? You want him to get that ball in?
It's a key forward. You'd be pretty frustrated as a Western Bulldogs player there.
Flynn palmed it down to Ash, but the Bulldogs try and win it back through Bontempelli. Ash just punches it clear. Callaghan got hands to it. He was stripped of it though. Daniel and now Treloar. The Bulldogs have it at half forward. Bailey Smith sweeping handball to McRae. Put him under pressure. He released it quickly though to Arthur Jones. Spun free of a tackle. Handball over the shoulder. Now Treloar looks to spot up a teammate in Ugle-Hagan just over his head and marked by Iden. It was slick from the Bulldogs. They weren't able to make the most of it, but they've turned it over the Giants inside defensive 50. Bontempelli and Scott. Now Daniel back to the Bont. His kick is smothered. Bailey Smith trying to find space. Handball's backward to Scott. His kick is a scrubby one. Ugle-Hagan can't gather it. Connor Iden under pressure from Waitman. Gives it to Haynes. Now the Giants clear defensive 50, but Cadman lost possession. So once more the Dogs can send it back from where it came. Lloyd wins it back though for GWS. Gives it to Josh Kelly, and now Hogan marks on the wing.
There's a well-nursed kick from Kelly to find Hogan. Comes back in field now for Tom Green.
The Giants dodged 15 bullets there.
Absolutely.
Back to Haynes. They'll switch here across the half-back line. Iden in his 50th appearance can find Jack Buckley on the wing on the western side nearest to us. Short kick to Flynn, front of the bench. And now Callaghan, low to his right, controls the ball.
Yeah, no movement inside 50 for the Giants. A lot of Bulldogs players back.
Opportunity here. Callaghan puts the Giants inside 50. Leaping up and taking intercept is Keith, a former cricketer. As we mentioned, had some mixed form on this ground playing in cricket matches. He's got the ball between fullback and centre half back for the Bulldogs.
Starting to notice the absence of Toby Green when the Giants go inside 50. Looking for a spark, looking for a difference maker. Very few players like Toby Green around, of course. Bulldogs work it up the wing. Well done by Scott to just work Angwin under the football and gather it, get on his left foot, send the Bulldogs into attack. Brown got hands to it in front of Ugle-Hagan. Waitman puts pressure on Buckley. And the ball goes over the boundary line. We'll have a throw in inside 50 for the Dogs.
By the way, around the grounds in Perth, where Freo leads Hawthorn by 44 points in the third quarter there.
You can see Ugle-Hagan, he's almost got it. While he's getting to the right spots, his body work is actually pretty good. It's literally just last couple of percent.
Bulldogs by 23 here. Voice of Callum Sinclair on Grandstand AFL. Perryman goes to gather here for the Giants. Evades the tackle of Daniel. Nurses kick up the line. It was looking for Cadman under pressure from Gardner. It's out of bounds for a throw-in. Ruley in Adelaide says the coronation hasn't yet started because the King still has his Peter Alexander dressing gown on, so stick with the footy, folks. Good on you, Ruley. I don't know how truthful that is, but anyway. Coverage of the footy, a couple of footy games, the coronation, all covered for you on the ABC Listen app. Out of the air went English, but Kelly wins it here for the Giants. Himmelberg's kick tumbled up the line. Gardner is dispossessed. Pressure comes down there from Cadman. They pile in from all angles, and the umpire will ball it up at left half forward for GWS. It's the Dogs, though, who lead by 23.
Giants need the next one. Perryman wins it out of the clearance, up and under ball, didn't go 15. Marked by Caleb Daniel, got rid of it quickly. Smith handballs backwards to Oscar Baker at right half back for the Dogs. Sends it up to the wing. Ugle-Hagan's under it. Went through his hands, so the Giants win it back. Whitfield tries to find space. His kick on his left is misdirected. Trelaw cuts it off. Scott, English. The Dogs handballing it between themselves on the wing. Now Bailey Smith kicks it long into attack. Ugle-Hagan got two hands to the football and then did his own crumbing. Tackled by Isaac Cumming, who wins it back for the Giants. His kick, though, is out of bounds on the full. And the Dogs will be able to go deep into attack now, holding 23-point lead here at Manuka Oval.
Skill level has dipped in the second half, hasn't it, for both sides?
Yeah, Giants definitely lacking some cohesion. It's just sort of individual sort of play going on out there, and they're just hoping for the best.
Baker sends it high inside 50 here for the Bulldogs. Up in front, Bontempelli. Norton's second bite. Snaps on his preferred left side. Oh, it's through the air and through for a goal. Great work from Aaron Norton. Superb vision and the finish as well to extend the Bulldogs' lead out to 29 points. 10-5-65 plays 5-6-36, 18 go on third term here on Grandstand AFL.
And we've mentioned it a few times about Aaron Norton's work rate. A very, very well-deserved goal. Might not have the numbers on the stat sheet, but we've watched him pretty closely, Sutto. He's been competing, chasing very, very hard. And it's just amazing what the footy gods do for you when you do those things. Rewarded him in the second half. But I think the stat sheet's not going to show a lot with Aaron Norton, but I think if you watch him closely, the effort he has put in and the tone he has set defensively for his team has been outstanding.
Yeah, and it creates the opportunities, doesn't it? No, you know, he hasn't taken the marks that he normally takes tonight, but he's had a couple of crumb goals.
Bulldogs lead by 29 points. The Giants staring down 9 straight defeats at Manuka Oval. They're home away from home. They go inside 50 through Himmelberg. And the ball misses Brent Daniels and Jesse Hogan. Goes over the boundary line. They're starting to get frustrated in attack at the moment, the Giants. Missing Toby Green in a big way. They enjoy such wonderful support here in Canberra, but they cannot get a win at the moment to reward the locals. Boundary thrown in attack for them. Lob just palms it down looking for Caleb Daniel. Handball back to Josh Kelly. Noah Halloran trying to find space. Finn Callahan's the man who'll kick on goal. Off hands and through for over the boundary line, for a boundary throw in next to the behind post for the Giants, trailing by 29 points. We've gone 18 and a half minutes in the third quarter.
There's almost a reluctance to finish and be that finisher for the Giants in that sort of last moment, isn't there?
They're looking for someone to go to. You don't want to harp on it too much, but without Toby, they don't know who's going to be the one to go to.
Dogs by 29. Free kick here going the Bulldogs' way out of that ruck contest. It'll go the way of Rory Lobb, a former Giant and Docker. All right, full back here for the Bulldogs. Freo leads by 50 points now on Hawthorn over there in the third term at Perth Stadium. High ball towards the other side. Norton tangled up there with Buckley, and it's gone out of bounds for a throw-in. Clear sky for now, at least. And Adam Shirley shortly for an update on what's happening downstairs, conditions-wise. But Still no sign of the subs either. James Peatley or Lockie McNeil. Back in it comes on the outer side.
Bailey Williams gathers it for the Bulldogs. Handball to McRae. Now Liberatore. He goes over the top to Treloar. Gets away from Lockie Ash. Back in board to McRae. Prolific, the Bulldogs midfielders. Now they're going to attack. Well watched by Jack Buckley, though. Hit the ground running after marking it. Kicks to a one-on-one over the head of Liam Jones and Jesse Hogan. Well done by Hogan to gather the football back. Snap towards goal. It bounces through almost.
Hold on.
It was going through, and the last moment it took a right turn and hit the post. And the Giants needed that one desperately. Dogs lead by 28 points.
It was a rare chance going forward. Hogan one-on-one. That's what he wants. That's what he loves. And he almost got the goal for them, but they just haven't had that look this quarter.
Richards kicks out to find Baker. High ball up the western wing. Jones in the contest with Haynes. Whitfield swooping through here for the Giants. Goes into the back of Jones. Umpire says play on. Buckley is well dispossessed. Haynes competes with Waitman. Smith's hand pass picked up by Perryman. Giants are away here on the overlap. Kelly to Whitfield. Works it through here for Finn Callaghan. Run down from behind Ballydale. Umpire again says play on. Loose ball pounced on by Smith of the Bulldogs. Works it back here to Richards, and now Treloar in some space. Lloyd chases him, just evades the would-be tackler. Shares it back to Williams on the outer wing, and now Richards can go again here for the Bulldogs. Gets rid of Angwin, lost the football on the bounce. Smith to McRae, and the Dogs go forward of halfway. Eventually McRae sends them high towards half forward. Iden down there, the defensive work with Scott is company. And now Norton was goal side. Shares the hand pass to Waitman. Running by Liberatore, who can sneak it through on the snap from 35. Welcome back, Liver. And the Bulldogs here are really stepping away with things. 34 points is their lead. 11-5-71 plays 5-7-37. We've just hit time on there in the third term on Grandstand AFL at Manuka Oval in Canberra.
I think something's happened to Adam Treloar. I just watched him. He evaded pretty hard there from Lloyd on the chase down tackle, but he's walked over from the other wing all the way over to the bench side. I think he may have done a hamstring. I think he's looking very, very distressed on the sidelines.
Adam Treloar making his way off now, straight in the hands of the trainers. 24 possessions, Adam Treloar for the night. Down to Adam Shirley on the boundaries, keeping an eye on things.
Yeah, well picked up, looking very despondent as Treloar, and it's hard to tell which hamstring, but he's walking off as if he's really carrying, well, both gates, to be honest, and looks like Lockie McNeil is warming up pretty immediately, so expect a change there in the near future.
Be a big blow for the Bulldogs. They enjoy a 34-point lead, though, here in Canberra. The Giants need a goal desperately. They kick to centre half forward. Brent Daniels has been busy. Works it back to Angwin. Now Whitfield on his left. Kicks just inside 50. Lloyd's there. Keith is right with him, though. He spoils it over the boundary line. Left half forward for the Giants. So Treloar, 24 possessions, 4 clearances, 4 score involvements tonight. He's been good against his former side. He might be out for a few weeks at least if that hamstring is bad.
34 points the margin. Back in it comes. Out of the right, Himmelberg dispossessed by English. O'Halloran met Daniel front on. The umpire says let's ball it up again. 30 out from the Giants goal this time. Cathedral end. And this great rivalry. The Bulldogs running away with things in the capital. Liberatore can clear here. High towards the eastern wing. Lob was outnumbered 2-on-1. At the drop, Ugle-Hagan tries to slap it clear as well. Lob gets some assistance from Jones. Back by hand to Bailey Williams. Up the line now. A high kick towards half-forward. Waitman was outnumbered and outsized. Haynes is eventually paid the mark, is he? Yes. The Giants at left half back. 11-5 plays 5-7. 24 gone, now 50 as well for, I gather, some disagreement from Waitman, or maybe there was an encroaching player on the outer side there as well.
I think they just threw the ball back willy-nilly.
Yeah, it didn't quite get back to Nick Haynes, so he'll have it, and now sends it to about 55 from goal. Perryman marks. This is just beyond his distance, you would think.
Yep. Well, he kicked one from here in the Sydney Derby late on.
He had a good game last week, didn't he, against the Swans? Doesn't appear willing this time. Sets it high to the hot spot here. Top of the square for the Giants. Up goes Himmelberg. Slapped away by Bontempelli in defence. And now Ballydale can neutralise the threat with a rush behind. 1 to the Giants score. 5-8-38. Trailing the Boston Bulldogs, who are 11-5-71. Margin 33 points the Dogs' way.
Bulldogs exit defensive 50 quickly. Kick from Dale and then Daniel out to wing. Smith on the wing, who jostles with Callum Brown. On back by the Giants. Angwin, handballs inboard to Lockie Ash. He's kicked to centre half forward, finds Toby Bedford in his second game with the Giants. Kicks for the pocket, looking for Himmelberg. Off his hands, Cornelio roving. Can he snap on goal, trying to find space? Handballs back to Angwin. A fresh air from him, falls back to Cornelio. Goes for the bounce pass handball. And Perryman is wrapped up by a couple of dogs. We'll have a ball up inside 50. The defensive work of the Bulldogs is strong. They lead by 33 points late in the third quarter here in Canberra.
Adam Shirley on the boundary.
Definite substitute for the Bulldogs. Lockie McNeil into the game. No ice on either hamstring yet. Just a very despondent Adam Treloar. And James Peatling, the sub for the GWS Giants, about to be activated, but unclear as to which player's being tactically subbed off yet.
Okay, thank you, Adam. As Angwin hurries a kick here for the Giants, and it goes out of bounds on the full. And that does sum up especially the third quarter for GWS, in which the Dogs have seized control of this game. 33 points the margin.
100%. The Giants just really struggling going inside 50. No options, nothing to go to. There's no flow in that inside 50 at all.
Around the grounds in Perth, Freo leads Hawthorn by 56. Time on third quarter there as well. We'll wrap up the Saturday footy post-game here in Canberra. Look ahead to tomorrow as well. Up they go on the outer side from the kick-out. Whitfields, or kick in as it were. Haynes, back to Iden. Tracks it back to Haynes. One of 6 inaugural Giants still on their list. Nick Haynes. We'll get some word from downstairs shortly. It looks like Cal Ward has been the player subbed out for James Peatling. So back down to you, Adam Shirley.
That's an absolute yes. Cal Ward is now on the bench. He's been substituted out. James Peatling in.
Okay. Thanks, Adam. 33 points, the Bulldogs lead here. Dicey kick across half-back, retrieved by Lockie Ash, and now shares it by hand to Josh Kelly, who kicks up the western side.
The half-forward looking for Himmelberg. One front position, worked it down to Peatling, the sub, and that is a nice moment for him. Activated into the game a moment ago, James Peatling. He snapped it onto the chest of his big ruckman in Matt Flynn. He'll kick from 30 out on the angle. The Giants need this badly.
Now, this is strange because Cal Ward is the official player subbed out on our official stats, but it appears, Adam Shirley, an update from downstairs.
Cadman's the one with the shirt on. Aaron Cadman, the young gun, he's come off and he looked a bit annoyed about it too. Obviously wanted to give his all, but he's the one definitely been subbed out.
So Ward, with a couple of goals to his name, stays on the ground. Of great importance, though, for the Giants is this kick from Matt Flynn, which hits the post. So they've hit the post 3 times in this quarter, GWS, when they need goals badly. That was a makeable kick from Matt Flynn. And another chance goes begging for GWS. They trail by 32 points.
For those that don't know, our stats computer lights up bright red on the plate it's subbed out. It was Cal Ward, false alarm. Aaron Cadman subbed out, and James Peatling into the game for the Giants.
That sub makes more sense to me.
I was going to say, yeah, unless Ward was injured for whatever reason. Bontempelli comes to find Norton just forward of halfway. Floats the hand pass forward to Liberatore. Sends the Bulldogs inside forward 50. Waiting at the back is Iden. It bounces towards the goal line. Almost got all the way, but Iden does knock it through for a minor score. And that is one more to the Bulldogs total. 11-6-72. The Giants are 5-9-39. Margin is 33. Giants can kick out.
Looking for Jesse Hogan, punched away from him by DeRay, gathered by Lockie Ash, handball to Callaghan, now back to Josh Kelly. The Giants under pressure, which they have been for large parts of the night. Buckley's clearing kick is marked by Tim English on the wing. Number 44 for the Giants. His kick is marked by number 44 of the Bulldogs. Tim English up to possession, number 18. That's a dangerous ball though, looking for DeRay. Bedford got across to cut it off. The kick from Peatling up to half forward will bounce in front of Johannesson. He's happy to take it over the boundary line. So we have gone 28 and a half minutes in the third quarter. Bulldogs lead by 33 points.
Well, we spoke about the Giants going inside 50, how much they've struggled. You'd expect them, they have had opportunities go in there, but you expect to see a bit more of Bedford and Daniels and the smaller types actually crumb the footy. I guess the sub of Cadman out and Peatling in hopefully is to help them.
And back in it comes. Liberatore dumped the tackle. It falls to Tom Green. Hurries a snap toward goal here for the Giants. Up goes Gardner. Lost it in the pocket. Hand pass from Hogan to the corridor. On the bounce for Williams in defence for the Bulldogs. Shares it with Gardner. He can clear a high wobbly ball out towards the paint of 50. Daniel parks himself under it there for the Bulldogs and takes a sliding mark at right half back. Bulldogs by 33 points, 11-6 plays 5-9.
Cadman subbed out for the Giants, only the 3 disposals to his name. Number 1 draft pick. Working his way into the AFL system, finding out just how tough it is, but as a key position player, he's got plenty of time to develop, of course. The big news, Adam Treloar subbed out for the Bulldogs. What looks like a hamstring injury. As the Dogs chip it across defensive 50. There's Ryan Gardner. Happy to just chew down time, enjoying a 33-point lead here in Canberra. The Western Bulldogs. Lockie Whitfield goes in the back of Alex Keith while trying to mark. Didn't get up high enough.
Wow.
Well, they've actually given the free kick here to Whitfield. So Lockie Whitfield was disappointed. He thought he'd given away the free kick. The umpires reversed the decision.
Plays on quickly as Whitfield. Drives it high inside 50 here for the Giants. Needs a marking target. It's fisted away by Scott. And it finds the boundary line right on the stroke of three-quarter time. The Western Bulldogs 11-6-72. Greater Western Sydney 5-9-39. The Giants struggling big time in that third quarter. The goal kickers in the game so far for the Bulldogs, firstly, Jones and Lobb each have a couple. Singles to Bontempelli, Ugle-Hagan, Liberatore, Waitman, Norton, Johannesson and Scott. Meanwhile, for GWS, Cal Ward has 2. Hogan, Tom Green and Lloyd each have singles. If you're listening across ABC Radio, News Radio and the ABC Listen app, this is Grandstand AFL.
We are one, but we are many, and from all the lands on earth we come. We share a dream, and sing with one voice.
You're listening to ABC Radio. Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
5 goals against the Giants in the win in Sydney last season for Cody Waitman. And that is a big one here in Canberra for his Western Bulldogs.
Anderson on the approach, gives it a belt from 55, rides it right to the line, all the way home for the Norm Smith medalists. The Dogs are kicking away. Baker sends it high inside 50 here for the Bulldogs. Up in front, Bontempelli. Norton's second bite. Snaps on his preferred left side. Oh, it's through the air and through for a goal. Great work from Aaron Norton. Superb vision. And the finish as well. And now Norton was goal side. Shares the hand pass to Waitman. Running by Liberatore, who can sneak it through on the snap from 35. Welcome back, Liber.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
And now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
The Bulldogs by 33 points at three-quarter time here at Manuka Oval in Canberra. You're with Brett Sprigg alongside Daniel Garb. Back to our experts very shortly. Off the SMS 0437 774 774. Can't wait to coronate the King tonight. And by that I mean big guy Bontempelli. The Bont says Caitlin in Marrickville. David Tewksbury in Tasmania says, I reckon it's rude having the coronation while the footy is on. Well, a reminder, of course, if you want to hear the coronation in full, you can find that on the ABC Listen app. There's coverage right across the digital platforms on the local radio signals, on your local radio station, on DAB+, or on Channel 25 on your television, where you'll get that audio stream as well. As in the meantime, it's 33 points the margin here. The Dogs lead the Giants, and at Perth Stadium, also approaching three-quarter time there, where Fremantle 14-6-90 leads Hawthorn 5-5-35. A 55-point break to the Dockers there on their own deck. But Jason Saddington and Callum Sinclair are experts on Grandstand AFL. The Dogs just went to another gear in that third term, didn't they?
Well, Jason called it, really, didn't he, going into that third quarter. The third quarters have been a real problem for the Giants all season. And, Jace, you didn't disappoint, mate. They were really, really ordinary that quarter. We're probably guilty of this as well. We obviously keep talking about the influence of Toby Green, but at the same time, the Giants forwards can also move as well. Yep. They can also move. They can also try and make a contest. At the moment, it just looks like when they do get the opportunity to go inside 50, they're kind of doing it hoping something will happen. They're looking something miraculous from Jesse Hogan, who, hit the post twice, trying to take it out of the ruck. They're just looking for something miraculous. It doesn't really appear like there's much method. Also, from a Giants perspective, it just feels like with the Green thing, they just need a bit more leadership out there. I know we need someone it's those middle tier players that kind of just need to step up, and I think those role players are really getting shown up by those at the Western Bulldogs. But I thought Green to Bond, I thought Green probably, Bond definitely did not have the influence that he probably had in the first half, but so I'll be interested to see how that kind of finishes out. Aaron Norton, once again, I just thought a fantastic reward for effort. Tim English seems to be getting around the ground a lot better. I think he's almost close to 20 touches, which is in terrific form for the probably most likely the All-Australian ruckman this year. And talked about it a little bit, Jason. I wouldn't mind kind of getting your thoughts on kind of the number 1 draft pick, Ugle-Hagan. I think he's actually going to be a good player. I watched him closely tonight. He probably just lacks a little bit more polish. He's getting to the right spots. He's demanding the footy now. You can see he's got the athleticism. What is it that you see that will probably take him to that next level? I hope you agree. He's there. He just needs a bit more polish.
No, bang on, Cal. Ugle-Hagan, the real positive is he is getting to the right spot. So his forward craft and his patterns to put himself in a position to either get free or to be in a position to present and be a target. That's the first step. Now that body size, that contested work, you'll see it come. And I think we've seen so far this year his influence in games has been a lot greater than what has last year and previously. So it's a growing game. Your key forward's the hardest thing to play. We've seen that with the Giants. Cadman's been subbed out tonight. It's tough to be a marking player up forward when you're a younger player. He's doing all the right things. Once he starts to get a bit more strength, learn a bit more craft, how to one-on-one beat your opponent with some of that late push off, reading the drop zone of the ball. I think that's going to come for him because he's definitely put himself in the right spots and has had tonight a lot of those almost moments, and we've seen him nearly take some marks. So that's been a real positive for the Dogs. When they go forward, it looks like they're going to create opportunities to kick goals. Waitman's, he kicked one in that quarter. He's always looking dangerous. It looks like their forwards have a bit more space. It's a bit more one-on-one every time it goes in for the Bulldogs, whereas when the Giants are going inside 50, it's almost like just kicking to a 3v1 that's in favour of the Bulldogs. There's no spark, there's no movement, and they're not even getting to the drop of the ball in the crumb to actually get those shots on goal.
Subs made in that third term. Trelaw out with what looks like a hamstring injury, so Lockie McNeil activated for the Bulldogs, and James Peatling came in for Aaron Cadman, the technical sub for the Giants. Final term underway here. 33 points is the Bulldogs' lead as Bedford gets tangled up down there with Caleb Daniel inside the opening seconds of this fourth quarter. Liberatore tries to bustle through, meets Himmelberg solidly.
Looks like they're trying something different. He said Bedford starting in the middle, Himmelberg starting in the ruck. Kingsley's just trying to spark something for the Giants.
English out over it. Liberatore tries again. English tries again with a kick. Squeeze it out towards Lockie McNeil. And now they go back inside 50 through Scott. Waitman in the contest down there with Buckley. Haynes in defensive support as well. Lost it. Ugle-Hagan's handball. Tried to find Norton. Tom Green through traffic. Good vision to find coming by hand. And now Lockie Ash can retreat back to the defensive goal square here, where it's marked by Finn Callaghan.
Finn Callaghan, the rising star from last week. 26 possessions in the Sydney derby. Giants need to get something going early in this final term. All in dispute on the wing. O'Halloran just taps it to himself a couple of times and then gets past English and soccers it inside 50 for the Giants. Well done by Cornelio to turn Ryan Gardner. Gives it back to O'Halloran. Can he kick a fantastic goal? Yes, he can. Brilliant individual work from Xavier O'Halloran. Made something out of nothing himself. The 1-2 with Cornelio. And they've brought the margin back to 27 points early in the last. O'Halloran, that was fantastic.
That was absolutely brilliant. He's involved in the play from almost half-back wing and then's the one that ends up kicking the goal forward. Just the speed to keep pushing forward. He ran straight past English to actually win that footy, get the toe poke off the ground. Cornelio starting forward was clever enough. He's a smart player to win the footy and get it back out to O'Halloran, who pushed on again. The different look perhaps is maybe something that will spark him. Cornelio forward, Bedford in the middle, O'Halloran getting up high and trying to push forward. Maybe that is the spark that's going to work for the Giants. We saw Himmelberg's rucking. He got forward with English. They're trying to do something a little bit different.
27 points, the margin. The goal to GWS from the restart. Tom Green. Hand pass to Callaghan. Loads up inside 50 here for the Giants. Running start, Hogan at the drop. And there is Flynn. He collects Duray. The umpire will ball it up 40 out from the Giants' goal pool end.
Do you see what they're doing? They're actually going a lot more direct, and they're kicking the ball long. They're getting in there, build some pressure. First 3 quarters, too fussy.
Ball in the air. Cornelio backs his way into Bontempelli and the ball up again.
Why does it take so long to actually get that kind of mentality? It just...
Let's see if we can get it moving. English. That's a Bontempelli. His 26th touch of the night. And now Smith off half-back for the Bulldogs. In space on the as far as Callahan for the Giants. Back to Lockie Ash. Spears the pass inside 50. It sort of bounces into the pocket. Sits up down there for Tim English.
He's so mobile for a ruckman. His kick, though, goes in the back of James Peatling. The Giants win it back inside 50. Peatling kicks it into the boots of Bailey Dale. That might be out of bounds on the full. No, it'll be a boundary throw. It looked like a bump ball, perhaps.
So what you're saying, Cal, is footy's a simple game.
Yeah.
And we should just get it in as much as possible, but we complicate it as coaches and players. Is that what
you do? You guys need to rock it up here, to be honest.
Dogs lead by 27 points. Flynn and English doing the ruckwork inside attacking 50 for the Giants. Liberatore burring away as he often does because the handball to Keith. High ball from him to half back. Bailey Williams does so well to track it, watch it and attack the contest with courage and mark overhead.
Comes back inboard for Liberatore, not 15. Play on now. Williams goes again by hand. Liberatore this time. He kicks for distance up the outer side, floating across Himmelberg on the wing. Beaten through the air, Ugle-Hagan fighting some pressure. Lockie Ashlow mops up for the Giants. Now Ugle-Hagan wins it away again. Hand pass inboard for Norton. He's running 55 from goal. Goes check side. Wobbly ball towards the goal square. Bounces toward the line now, but it's off probably someone's finger and through for a minor score anyway. And a minor score to the Bulldogs. 11-7-73. The Giants are 6-9-45. Margin 28 here in Canberra.
Possession number 29 coming up for Tom Green in his hometown. He's zipping 6 in Canberra, Tom Green. Staring down the barrel of 0 and 7. The Giants likely to lose 9 in a row here in Canberra unless they can kick a couple in quick succession. They have kicked the first of the last through Xavier O'Halloran. The margin back to 28 points. They chip it around their back half and they find Harry Himmelberg at left half back. Bulldogs with every single player behind the football, so Himmelberg will switch to the outer side. It'll bounce once in front of Lockie Whitfield at right half back. He'll chip it up short to Nick Haynes, so they work it up to the wing. Haynes finds Callahan, who's been busy in the last, at right half forward. And he'll assess his options, the current rising star.
28 points, the Bulldogs lead. Callahan plays on now. That raking left boot, high inside 50. Up goes English. Not paid the mark. At the drop, Daniel Shire's on goal. Kick went nowhere. Mopped up by Liberatore. Whitfield now dispossessed as well. Rolls out towards Tom Green, who can close from 45. The local lad once again can give them something to smile about. That's his second of the night. And the Giants close the gap back to 22 points. They're 7-9-51. Sorry, Cal. Bulldogs 11-7-73. 6 gone final term.
Only 5 minutes ago we were being pretty harsh on the Giants, Jason, but it is good to see a response from them. But they're penetrating inside 50. Their forwards are getting a lot more movement. They're moving the ball a lot better throughout the ground. They're not just relying on the corridor.
And this is a carbon copy of what we've seen every week.
They kicked the last 4 of the game last week, the Giants. Could they believe here that they had to kick what would have been, the last 6 goals? They kicked the first 2 of the last quarter. 4 more to go.
They'll believe. But I just can't believe that they've just had a horrible third quarter and they come out in the last again and off they go.
They've worked their way back into the game, but that was slick from English down to Bontempelli. Giants win it back, though. Bedford to Himmelberg. Now Cornelio. Adam Kingsley's throwing the magnets around and it's working in the last term. Here's Lockie Ash. Sends him deep into attack again off the hands of Hogan. Perryman's looking for it. So is Bedford. Wraps up Richards. Deep in defence for the Bulldogs. Ward gets it out to Hogan. A chance for another one for the Giants. Here's Tom Green. Kick on goal. They've got 3 in a row. And Tom Green's got 3. And all of a sudden, it is game on. Margin back to 16 points in Canberra.
Now, Bontempelli's going to have to ask himself a few questions now. This is what we're talking about. Now he has to be accountable. 3 goals. What an amazing start to the third quarter. But I think Harry Himmelberg's kind of coming into the ruck, keeping his feet after the contest and just being dynamic. He's spitting forward. He's making English kind of turn his head a little bit. Probably something Flynn hasn't done for the first 3 quarters. Very well coached by Adam Kingsley.
Absolutely, Himmelberg's been huge in the middle. The other one is Bedford's energy around the contest, and he's getting hard forward. He was at that drop of the ball there before Green got the crumb. A couple of really important changes what Kingsley's made so far. They have an influence.
16 points. After 3 straight goals, the Giants to start this final term. Lockie Ash off to Himmelberg. They can clear again. Oh, Lipittore, though, snatched it clear from Cornelio. Still alive. And English, underneath all of that, the umpire will ball it up. Stoppage just behind the bullseye. Up they go again. McRae trying to tunnel it out there for the Bulldogs. Umpire lets them play, and then we'll ball it up again.
Certainly appears like they've been given a rocket at 3/4 time. It just feels like they've come out with a bit more aggression, a little bit more proactive around the contest.
Adam Kingsley's made some changes as well positionally, and it's working early on. All of a sudden, the Dogs are wary. Margin back to 16 points. Ball in dispute on the wing. Here's Bontempelli. Quick kick forward. Tracking it is Oscar Baker. Marked it. Played on. Umpire said you went too far. So he gave it to Bailey Smith under pressure. Now Rory Lobb snaps the Dogs into attack. They need a settler badly. Can Ugelhagen provide it? He couldn't pick up the ball cleanly. Haynes under pressure. Turns it over to Liberatore. Now Rory Lobb. Next to him is Iden. Taps back to Iden from Isaac Cumming. Ball working its way up the boundary line. And we'll have a throw in attack for the Western Bulldogs. They are 11-7-73. The Giants 8-9-57, 16 points the margin here in Canberra.
Oh, they would believe the Giants. That's Adam Kingsley's MO. Can they make it happen here? Dogs inside 50 with a stoppage. Bontempelli. Out to meet the football. Slaps it to advantage now. Still going Bontempelli. Buckley coming the other way. In fact, it was coming. And now Tom Green can clear. Back up the pipe there for the Giants. It's marked by Peatling. Just sort of halfway they go to find Perryman. They're streaming forward now, the Giants. Inside 50, neat entry to find Hogan, who slides in, takes the mark. 40 out, slightly right of centre.
So, fairly lucky.
Lays off the hand pass to Himmelberg, who can let fly from 50 on the run. And the Giants have 4 goals in a row to start the final term. Oh, they believe all right. Margin back to just 10. 11-7 plays, 9-9. 11 gone, final term, grandstand AFL via ABC Sport.
It's amazing how momentum works sometimes, isn't it, Cal? Like the lucky kick from the Giants out of D50 falls to Peatling in the middle of the ground. Not because it was a good kick or good position, but it just fell to him. He's smart enough to use Perryman. Perryman just waiting for Hogan. Hogan, great tick. Head back hard to the square, then tick back up with an end point on his opponent. Perryman hits him up. And then the feed off to Himmelberg, going into the ruck, working forward off English to impact now and have a shot on goal, kick a fantastic goal, and we're back to 10 points real quick. Here come the Giants.
And it's the players that stepped up that need to. Himmelberg's had a terrific start in this last quarter.
They kicked 4 goals in 10 minutes last week to win the derby. They brought a 6-goal margin back to 10 points early in the last here in Canberra, and they win the clearance once more and go inside attacking 50. They'll have a ball up in attack for the Giants. Never right off Adam Kingsley's GWS.
That was Himmelberg with the clearance again.
Correct. Hogan and English. English palms it down, picked up by Cornelio, snaps it towards goal. Liam Jones is back there, though, sweeping and taking the mark just outside his defensive goal square. What have these Bulldogs got about them now under pressure? That's a bad kick from Jones. It bounces in front of Alex Keith. O'Halloran picks it up. Handball to Tom Green, looking for Josh Kelly. Could have had a shot at goal, Tom Green. Kelly gets it clear. Ward, back to Tom Green. In attack for the Giants. Kelly looking for Ward. Bulldogs under pressure. Here's English. Now Bailey Smith. Handball met solidly. Isaac Cumming on a Bulldogs defender. They wrap it up inside attacking 50 again, and this Canberra crowd comes to life.
Oh, the intensity has lifted here in the capital. Up it goes. English wins it down to McRae, runs straight into Hogan, lost the football. Still alive now for English at the Bulldogs. He's at the arm pinned there by Cornelio. The umpire will ball up again. 40 out from the Giants goal, have kicked the last 4. Hogan out in space with the ruck tap. Socket away here though by Baker of the Bulldogs. Callaghan out to beat the ball there for the Giants. Shares a hand pass to Cumming. Now Tom Green, 65 from goal. Tries to steer it inside 50. On the half volley from McRae. Gathered by Peatling. Back to Cornelio who can snap. Bounce at the goal square. And it's through for him on a score. They're peppering away the Giants. Margin back to just 9 points at single figures. 13 going, final term, grandstand AFL.
And it's amazing what pressure does. The Bulldogs just look a bit panicked at the moment. Yeah, Keith with a panic kick out of the back 50. Liam Jones with a horrible short pass out of the back 50 just earlier. They need to settle the Dogs.
Bontempelli had 20 possessions to half-time, only 8 since. They've locked down on him, GWS. Tom Green is 35. Norton has won a free kick here on the wing. Chance for the Bulldogs to catch their breath, try and gather themselves and maybe find a settler. But again, they've kicked to a dangerous option in Keith. The Giants closed on him and they've won it back. O'Halloran to Josh Kelly, just pops it over the top and he finds Jesse Hogan just outside 50.
Too far for Hogan.
Hogan thinks about an option short. He'll just pop it up to a dangerous spot in the pocket. It's a 3-on-1 option in favour of the Dogs. Kelly's roving it though. Handball to Angwin. He snaps on goal over the head of Perryman and McRae. It's out of bounds, but I think it just bounced in front of the line. So that suits the Giants. Boundary throw in attack for them. They trail by just 9 points now after being 6 goals behind at three-quarter time.
And again, that panic, risky kick inside from the Dogs.
Downstairs shortly, back in it comes. Hogan out of the ruck, snatched it clear, lost it though. Daniel, pressure from Richard, socket off the deck, hit Kelly, loose ball. Now they pile in from all angles. 40 out from the Giants goal. Adam Shirley on the boundary.
And Spriggy, they might be a runner down here, the Bulldogs. The sub, Lockie McNeil, has now come off with what appears to be a left knee injury. He's going through a few run-throughs, but he's hobbling somewhat.
Bulldogs by 9. McRae can clear here towards the eastern wing through the midst of Haynes. Hugo Hagen right out of it by Brown. Comes back to Haynes of the Giants. He can tumble his kick up the line. Kelly in the contest with McRae. Loose ball still alive on the outer side. Baker's hand pass out in space. Jones spun the tackle of Tom Green. Still has it there for the Dogs though. Jones could nurse his kick up the line well for Anthony Scott.
Well done by Jones. Kept his feet under pressure. He's kicked 2 goals tonight, the youngster. Well to find Scott. Now Caleb Daniel.
It looks like he was imploring his teammates while he's got the ball here. Let's just slow it down for a little bit and control this game for a little while.
Bulldogs trying to work out just what's happened here after enjoying a 6-goal lead at three-quarter time. Giants are back in it, but a Giants player is down injured here in Isaac Cumming. Dogs have it just outside 50. Bailey Smith goes long into attack, off hands. The Giants can gather it here. Himmelberg looked for Whitfield, missed the handball. We'll have a boundary throw in attack for the Bulldogs.
The Bulldogs borrow the orca whale signal.
Well, they need to. Yeah,
kill the momentum.
That's exactly where they're at.
9 points the margin. Momentum in GWS. Stoppage inside 50 though for the Bulldogs. And by heaves it back in. Norton pushed Himmelberg out of the ruck. Himmelberg can soccer it clear though. Out towards O'Halloran. He's got Keith for company, and now Peatling sees it towards the line. It will go out of bounds. There's a free kick in there though for a push. It'll go the Giants' way. And Peatling has it at right half back. So the sub, a fresh pair of legs, came in the third quarter. Goes back inside 50 now for Connor Iden. Retreats back to fullback for Haynes. They'll switch here back towards left half back for Callum Brown.
Giants finding space. They have the momentum. They are surging. And all of this without Toby Green, don't forget. Their hero from last week. Perhaps they're proving to themselves that they can do it without him when required. Brown switches it across defensive 50 to Iden. Now Finn Callaghan. He's enjoying a big last quarter. Finn Callaghan up to 23 disposals. The number 3 draft pick from a couple of years ago. Up to half forward, big leap from Hogan and kept his feet. Gathered it when the ball hit the ground. 1-on-1 inside 50. Over the head of Brent Daniels. Well done, Bailey Dale, to track it.
Smart.
Got hands to it at a crucial time. Boundary throw in though. In attack for the Giants, trailing by 9 points. 17 minutes gone in the last.
a massive contest, Bailey Dale. Brent Daniels one-on-one. When the ball gets over the back, he's got the speed, but he was smart enough with his body work there, Dale.
Back in it comes. Himmelberg and English in the ruck. Perryman, one-handed trap, goes to Kelly by hand. Kelly can snap on the left boot. His preferred side pulls it near side for a minor score. Margin 8 points the Bulldogs' way. 11-7-73 plays, 9-11-65, 17.5 played, final term here in Canberra.
Crowd starting to have the same proceedings. Could be another turnover here. It goes over the head of Tim English and Callan Ward. English still on his back. Picked up by Lockie Ash. Ward to the top of the square. Well done by Liam Jones to cut across the pack and mark defensively for the Dogs. They've been starved of wins here in Canberra. 8 games without one when the Giants have come to town. They're trying to will GWS over the line.
8 points the margin. From fullback, McRae thumps it long beyond defensive 50. English takes a towering grab on the flank. That's some treatment from Matt Flynn on the way down as well. English gets up to take his kick.
It's a good mark from English. He copped a big hit before and good resilience too.
Right at half back. He sends it up the commentary side. Ugal Hagan down to Haynes. Coughs the hand pass out to Lloyd. Smith working his way through here for the Bulldogs. Traps it now. Back to Bailey Williams. He can hurry a kick up the line towards half forward or just forward of the wing. Bontempelli spills it. Waitman comes through. Had Scott, his teammate, coming the other way. And now Jones dumping a big tackle by Lloyd. The umpire will ball it up. Margin remains 8 points. The Bulldogs way down to Adam Shirley on the boundary.
High right ankle sprain for Ryan Engwin from the Giants. Straight down to the rooms. Did not look good.
Bulldogs lead by 8 points. 19 minutes gone in the last, and Bontempelli. There were cries for holding the ball. Josh Kelly wrapped him up in a tackle.
The superstar help there, I think, Garbs.
Well, Josh Kelly's a superstar as well. Crowd involved now. They are vocal. Lobb wins the tap. Ball in dispute on the wing. Here's a Whitfield winning it for the Giants. Lucky Ash just works it forward and finds Josh Kelly. Plays on quickly. Left foot kick might spot up a target. Hogan couldn't mark. Well spoiled away from him. A tackle from Perryman on Bailey Dale means we'll have a ball up just inside 50 for the Giants. They're doing all the attacking as we hit the 90-minute mark of the last. Bulldogs by 8 points.
Out to hit time on. Flynn taps to the outside now. Only as far as Scott, who can clear for the Bulldogs. High beyond defensive 50. Bontempelli under it. Takes the grab at right half back. Called to play on now. The skipper on his preferred left side towards the one-on-one. Brown, with use of the body, Eagle Hagan wins out the back here towards Buckley, and now Buckley's kick is a hurried one up towards only as far as Arthur Jones. It was touched off the boot, so he's brought to ground by Kelly. The umpire will ball it up. I think Jones thought he had the mark there, but it was signalled for touched. So a stoppage right on true centre wing broadcast side. Umpire wastes no time. Ball in the air. Bulldogs by 8 points. And now Cal Ward puts the tackle on Bailey Williams and will ball it up again.
You can feel the intensity from up here in the commentary box. Wonderful game of football. A couple of rivals. They don't like each other at all. And we've got a thriller here in Canberra. Himmelberg back in the ruck. Launches into Lobb on the wing. Off hands, boundary throw in front of the Bulldogs interchange gate. The Western Bulldogs 11-7-73. They've won 4 of their last 5. The Giants 9-11-65, looking to snap an 8-game losing streak here in Canberra.
They lost their past 4 against the Dogs as well. So back in 2019, their last victory against the Western Bulldogs, as was their last win in Canberra. As Bedford has brought down the tackle, the umpire brought up again. It was Williams all over him. Margin 8. Up it goes. Lobb competes with Himmelberg. Socked forward here by Bontempelli towards half forward for the Bulldogs. Scott being held by Haynes. Umpire says play on. Jones gets clear. He's 52 from goal. Draws the player. Hand pass over the top now. Ugal Hagan in the pocket. Can shake his way around Iden. It's a tumbling ball towards the corridor. Inside of the boot from Norton. That little cross coming into the striker. And he misses to the right-hand side for him on a score. So Western Bulldogs out to only a 9-point break now. 11-8 plays, 9-11. 22 gone now in the final term.
Giants involved in another thriller. They prevailed last week. Can they do so again? The Bulldogs held a 33-point lead at three-quarter time. It's now back to just 9 points. The exiting kick from defensive 50 from the Giants. Hogan couldn't mark. Picked up by Bailey Williams. Dogs back into attack. Underneath it is Norton. Excellent grab in front of Iden. Hauled it in with his right mitt onto his chest, and he'll kick from straight in front, 20 metres out.
But we haven't seen a lot of marks. We've spoken about Norton tonight being quite busy up forward in terms of a contest. He hasn't been able to mark the ball, but gee, when a time pops up that you need one, there's a great contested mark from Norton. One hand, doing what he does best.
This would be an almighty settler for the Bulldogs. And Aaron Norton guides it through. His second of the night, margin back out to 15 points.
Absolutely, you know, and that's one thing I've just loved about Norton. I sound like a broken record, but smart kick as well, under a lot of pressure. Just thought, you know, well, I'm going to centre this to about 15 metres out from goal. Gave Norton enough time to put himself in a position to compete for that mark, but big clearance this one. The next goal is crucial. I think the next goal is probably going to seal the game, particularly from the Bulldogs' perspective. But Himmelberg back into the ruck now. Flynn came on for a few minutes, but Flynn's now going forward to create a contest. They probably do, not a bad call, they probably do need a bigger body down there.
Adam, the drizzle has resumed out there.
Looks like it, Brett. Nothing too heavy yet, but it's going to make it hard for the Giants if it gets heavier. Obviously, then it becomes a slugfest, which plays right into the Bulldogs' hands at this point.
Reigning Giants goals to start this final term. That was the first Bulldogs goal of the last quarter by Aaron Norton on the restart. Bailey Smith can clear now towards half forward. Bounced off the back of Isaac Cumming. Bontempelli couldn't gather. Jones goes in hard. Tom Green rips it clear here for the Giants. Takes on Jones again. Gets it up in the air just in time. And now he wraps up in turn Lockie McNeil. The umpire ball up at centre half forward here for
the ball, isn't it?
Bulldogs. Apparently not. Up it goes again. Lob down to Kelly. Umpire's spotted the block. He'll go the Giants' way. A free kick Himmelberg.
I'm not sure there was a clean handball from Tom Green a moment ago. A reprieve for the Giants. Out to the wing, the kick from Himmelberg. Over the head of Peatling and Richards. Coming out to meet it is Hogan. Back to Peatling, the sub. On for Cadman. Kicks just inside 50 for the Giants at right half forward. Now Brent Daniels. Handball over the top to Bedford. He just spikes it forward. Well done by Johannesson. Came out to meet it strongly in front of O'Halloran. To DeRay. Bulldogs under pressure. So Richards throws it on his left boot. Up the wing, missed by Ugle-Hagan. Haynes is with him. Waitman, and now Jones just finds himself some space. Arthur Jones, well done for a youngster. Kicks into attack, and Norton's got it again.
Cool.
Might just be the match winner for the Dogs. He kicked the last to send the margin out to 15 points, but loved the work from Arthur Jones to find himself some space to set this up.
He's been ultra impressive, Jones. It's speed and power around the footy, either inside 50 or that one to set up. G. Norton worked hard. I know you've been talking about a lot, Cal. He worked hard to get back inside 50. It was actually a 2v1, but just read the play and came forward again. Perfect timing.
Timing is unbelievable.
15 goals coming into this game for the season. He's got his third for the night, and he has just about sealed it for the Bulldogs. Aaron Norton, the match winner in the last quarter. The margin now out to 21 points, and you suspect there is too much for the Giants to do from here.
It's just a massive reward for work rate all night. The first half of the game, he just worked and worked and worked, created a contest. He brought his little fellas into the game very early with crumbs. And, you know, you could argue tonight not his conditions, but I think it shows the character of the player and the leadership in his last quarter to just do what he does best. And I just thought he's really led from the front tonight.
Around the grounds in Perth, Freo leads Hawthorn by 64 points. Closing stages there, so a big win to Fremantle. And a much-needed one as well for them. The Bulldogs, momentum having recovered their own way here. 21 points. And the clearance, Bontempelli slapped it away. Only as far as Haynes, though, off half-back for the Giants. Whitfield to Cumming, can just rebound them out to the outer side. Peatling competes with Williams. Brings it down here for Lloyd. The late change for Toby Green. Now Tom Green's kick goes up in the air. High spiralling ball picked off by English, who marks at left half back here in front of the Jack Thingleton scoreboard. Dogs by 21.
Impressive Tim English. Possession number 23 coming up for him. Up the wing through the hands of Bontempelli, who starred early for the Dogs. Had a big influence throughout the game. Nick Haynes, kick under pressure. Finds its way to Lockie Whitfield. Now Josh Kelly. And the Giants get another one quickly to give themselves some hope. The kick from Ash bounces in front of Brent Daniels at left half forward. Handball back to Finn Callaghan. On his left, he looks for a target in attack in O'Halloran, but it's over his head and marked by Johannesson. He'll go short to DeRay. And the Dogs will happily slow things down, leading by 21 points with just a couple of minutes remaining.
No, the game is in their keeping. Giray goes back inside, defensive 50 now for Johannesson. They've staved off the Giants' comeback. There'll be no fairy tale for Adam Kingsley's men. And a 9th straight defeat at this venue, Monica Oval. They're home away from home. It's out of bounds for a throw-in now on the western wing.
And they have done well since halfway through this quarter, the Bulldogs. They did look a bit panicked for a while when the Giants were coming at them, kicking those quick goals, 4 or 5, to really put the pressure in the game. But since then, they've been able to get their hands on the footy again and control the game. And then Norton's 2 goals obviously have set it up for them.
There'll be 5 wins in 6 for the Western Bulldogs. Luke Beveridge's side perhaps proving to be a contender once more. They've been left out of those premiership discussions. Still an outsider, no doubt. But on their day, they're a team to be reckoned with. The Giants look to get something going off half-back. Here's Lockie Whitfield. He finds Tom Green, who's been prolific in his hometown. 38 disposals for him now.
That's a career best for Tom Green as Iden's kick to just short of halfway finds Himmelberg. On the entry here for the Giants, has targets inside 50. Hogan, great contested grab, gets rid of Gardner and controls it in the pocket left-hand side.
Good forward craft there from Jesse Hogan. Obviously he's played forward all his life, just the perfectly weighted the timing of that footy coming to him. Just that left palm just kept his defender away, but he's had a crack tonight, Hogan. He's probably found it a little bit tough at times, but he's had a go.
Opportunities for his second. Here he is for number 2, late in the game. It's all consolation from here, but Jesse Hogan does in fact have a couple. And the margin again closes back to just the 15 points. 13-8-86 the Western Bulldogs. Greater Western Sydney, the Giants are 10-11-71. 29 gone on the final term here on Grandstand AFL.
And then just on Jesse Hogan, you spoke about him much earlier in the game, Cal, around his influence this year. The most important thing is just had consistency in his footy. I think certainly throughout this year, playing week in, week out, where he had a period of time where he'd play a couple of games, need a spell because his body was sore, but he's continually showed up week after week after week. And you can see him in games sometimes get frustrated because he does want the ball coming in, because one-on-one he's a fantastic player and he just wants those opportunities to work his opponent out and take a mark and have some influence in the game of footy, and he's consistently been able to do that more and more.
Bulldogs lead by 15 points inside the final minute of this clash in Canberra. Himmelberg, Whitfield looking to get hands on it for the Giants. Kicked into attack for the Bulldogs. Norton might get another one here. Just spoiled in front of him. Cumming kicks it away. So does Buckley. It's scrappy inside defensive 50 for the Giants. Handball from Kelly. Finds Ash. Well done by Norton. The match winner in the last to put a tackle on Lockie Ash.
Ball and dispute on the outer side. Spinning away through traffic again. Jones to Liberatore and now McRae. Richards loads up. Back inside 50 here for the Bulldogs, but Cumming takes the mark in the right back pocket.
Coming up the wing. And it's marked by Jack McRae. And that will be that in Canberra. The Bulldogs beat the Giants again. 5 wins in their last 6 games. 9 straight defeats in the capital for GWS.
For the winners, Aaron Norton kicked 3. 2 of those were match winners in the end, weren't they? A couple each for Jones and Lobb. Singles to Bontempelli, Ugle-Hagan, Liberatore, Waitman, Johannesson and Scott. While for the Giants, Tom Green had 3 goals, go with his 38 disposals, 2 each for Hogan and Ward. Singles for O'Halloran, Himmelberg and Lloyd. The Dogs led by 10 points at quarter time, by 12 at half-time, 33 at three-quarter time. They withstood that Giants comeback to win by 15 points in the end.
Sons of the West, red, white and blue. We come out snarling, Bulldogs through and through. Bulldogs fight and Bulldogs roar. We give our very best, 'cause you can't beat the
rediscover their bite with 5 wins in their past 6 starts, and as a result, Beveridge's men go inside the top 8 for the first time this year. They mightn't finish the round there. We'll see how we go. There's still 3 games to go. But for now, at least, they'll be 7th or thereabouts inside the 8 now. 5 wins and 3 losses on the year. 15-point winners tonight in Canberra. Your experts, Jason Saddington and Callum Sinclair.
Yeah, look, Jason, I think you would agree. The Western Bulldogs definitely probably deserved that game. I think everyone here in the media box got pretty excited at probably the first 15 minutes of that quarter. But I think, let's be honest, the Giants, they left their run way too late. Look, I think they needed to make some changes a lot earlier. I think they needed to put Himmelberg probably in the ruck, probably at the start of the third quarter, just to kind of get them going. But the third quarters, as you've said, mate, they've been a massive issue for the Giants all season. But I thought, look, Marcus Bontempelli, absolutely outstanding. But that could arguably be, considering the conditions, probably his best game for the year. Aaron Norton, he's worth every single cent they are paying him, and I really hope he's not out of contract for the list management's sake. He was absolutely outstanding. Tim English, I thought, once again, is showing terrific consistency across the year. He definitely had Matthew Flynn in the ruck today. Arthur Jones, haven't they found a player there? Isn't he going to be very, very exciting? As for the Giants, Jesse Hogan, thought he tried really, really hard all night. I think they, as discussed, I just thought they're probably in the coach's box, could have made some changes a little bit earlier. They knew that the third quarter was probably going to be a problem for them, but and it proved to be. It was probably ended up being a bit of a disaster. And look, the absence of Toby Green certainly didn't help the Giants tonight, but they showed glimpses. We thought we were going to have an upset like last week and have an exciting finish, but man, congratulations to the Bulldogs. What a great win.
Absolutely, they did deserve the game, like you said, Cal. The Giants, you can't give up that much of a start and expect to roar your way in and get up. And it's been a typical story for them every game this year. They've either they've competed, they've put themselves in the game, but they've been quite often too far off the pace to be able to bridge the gap. And it's the same again tonight, to be able to roar back into 9 points very early in the last quarter. And we did get excited because we thought, hang on a second, we've got a game on here. And they were all over the Dogs. The Dogs started to panic a little bit. Some of their ball use was a bit rushed and they turned the ball over, but they took control again midway through that last quarter. It was Bontempelli had a really strong contested mark at half-back. He won a couple of clearances again, and then Norton being able to finish forward and just ice the game for them with those late couple of goals. The Bulldogs just had too many match winners probably around the ground, and we're just better going inside 50, and the Giants really struggled with that going inside 50.
Dynamic, weren't they?
Yeah, they were, absolutely.
Where do you rate the Bulldogs? Because let's not forget, they made a grand final 2 seasons ago, largely with this group of players. Everyone talks about Collingwood and Geelong and Melbourne and Brisbane as being the flag contenders. Can they be a team that can jump up in that group? Are they missing something? Where do they rank for you? Because they're flying under the radar a little bit at the moment.
On paper, they should be a top 4 team. They've got their balance across the ground is absolutely outstanding. I'm not too sure what it is, but you look at the names in that paper and that spine, it's absolutely outstanding. But something's not gelling there. They're sitting. They're probably sitting in the 8 now, but you'd like to think they should be a top 4 side.
Well, their midfield's super strong, isn't it? Like, you got Bontempelli, McRae, who's just a ball winner, Treloar, is speedy and dynamic. Liberatore is a good ball winner, Bailey Smith. They've got a great, strong midfield with a lot of depth. Even though Dunkley left, that probably hurts them a little bit, but they've still got a really strong midfield. And forward, when you've got Norton that can mark the footy, you've got Lobb, who's a fantastic marker of the footy. They've got those elements in their team, don't they? So, I'm with you. I don't know where they sit, middle of the road at the moment.
The Bulldogs share the win with their travelling supporters, and I'm sure there's a few Canberra locals as well that have come out tonight in all pockets of Manuka Oval, and they'll make their way down the race. Adam Treloar with a tracksuit jacket on, a few of his teammates putting their arm around him, cut a dejected figure as he came off, subbed out in the third quarter with what looks like a hamstring injury. So that is a sour note for the Bulldogs tonight, but otherwise a spirited win, having led by 34 points at one stage. The Giants got back to within, 8 points at one point. And in the end, the Bulldogs 15-point winners. Adam Shirley, they're headed your way.
They sure are, Brett. Come in looking pretty happy about themselves as well. Pretty tired by the looks of it too, given that last quarter. Probably subconsciously would think that they had that game under control, but then of course we saw the Giants come at them, but just gathering in for the song, and they look like a pretty pleased team given they were able to weather that storm towards the end. Now gathering for the song.
Great stuff. Back down for some reaction shortly from the Bulldogs rooms. By the way, crowd tonight 10,039. Doesn't sound like much, but this place only holds sort of 13,000. So when it's rocking with sort of 5 figures worth of fans, it's not bad. And the Bulldogs do for now go to 7th, if not for their inferior percentage compared to Geelong, St Kilda and Port. They'd essentially equal 4th, but 5 wins and 3 losses now. And as I say, a chance of staying in the top 8 and ending the round of the top 8 for the first time this year. Winners by 15 points here tonight. And by the way, also over at Perth Stadium, full-time there, Fremantle 18,917 have beaten Hawthorn 7-6-48. A 69-point win to Justin Longmuir's men there. Earlier today, Richmond beat West Coast, Geelong over Adelaide, and Melbourne in a tight one by 5 points against the Gold Coast Suns at Carrara. Some reaction from the Bulldogs rooms coming very, very shortly. Tom Green was a highlight for the Giants. Local lad, 38 disposals, 14 contested, 8 tackles, 8 clearances, 3 inside 50s and 3 goals. 10 score involvements all up for Tom Green. A career best night for him. It was one of the highlights, but alas, he couldn't do it all himself, and down the stretch, the Bulldogs were just far too good.
Oh, couldn't agree more. Tom Green, he's been a fantastic player all year for the Giants, who continually turns up. He's averaging 32, 33 possessions, probably even more now. To kick 3 goals, I think, is a real addition to his game. I know he likes to get forward and he likes to impact the scoreboard, and he's been able to do that tonight. Probably didn't get enough help around the midfield. Kelly, he continues to win the footy, and he's had his fair game out there with 34 possessions. Cornelio was probably a little bit quieter tonight. We've seen him win plenty of footy, but they probably just didn't have enough people join in. And absolutely, the Bulldogs, I think, just across the board, they had more match winners, and definitely it was their impact being able to go inside 50. They just looked a lot more dangerous, and that was the difference for me in the end. The Giants struggled going inside 50, and the Bulldogs obviously got a lot more looks one-on-one, I think, going forward.
I think the reason they struggled is because they didn't adapt to the conditions enough, but more importantly, they didn't adapt to their personnel. Without Toby Green down there, they basically just stopped moving. They had no movement down there. Bit of a concern, I think, going forward for them.
We'll get some reaction very shortly from Adam Shirley in the Bulldogs rooms. In the meantime, keep your text coming, by the way, 0437 774 774 as we wrap up the Saturday on Grandstand AFL right across the round, and we'll preview tomorrow's games. Next week, the Giants are away against Collingwood at the MCG Sunday in the late game. Massive game against the Pies, and not many teams win against them at the moment. And the Bulldogs have got Carlton at Docklands on Saturday night. That's what's next up in round 9 for both of these teams. Back down to Adam Shirley in the Bulldogs rooms.
Yeah, thanks, Briggy. I've got Jack McRae with me, always a pivotal player, obviously, in the engine room of the Bulldogs. Jack, thanks for making a bit of time for ABC Sport. I had a slight sense of relief, given those Giants came pretty hard in that fourth quarter. When you looked as though you had got game in control, how much did you detect that second, third wave from them towards the end of the game?
Yeah, it was pretty impressive by them, that surge in the last quarter. So something we need to get on top of. We didn't probably think that the game was over or anything, but they really surged in the start of the last and really got the momentum back. So it's good to wrestle it back with a few pivotal contests late. Aaron Norton, huge moment late. And, hold on in the end, but it was probably a bit closer than what we wanted.
The team upstairs at ABC Sport was singing his praises. Aaron Norton had his all 4 quarters. He might have got the biscuits in that last quarter, but he seemed to do a lot of work down there in the forward line and a lot of defensive work too, bring the ball around.
Oh, he's one of, inside the, 4 walls, he's lauded for the effort and the contest he gives us every game. And so many times he's outnumbered 2v1, he brings it to ground. So, he's amazing for us, and he's probably at times he doesn't get the reward in the goals that he probably deserves, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, how important was it to try and share that forward line load a bit? Because it looked like Lobb, Waitman, Norton spoke about all took their turn at times as they rotated through.
Yeah, it is. It's obviously a bit of an extra weapon now we got with Lobby, and obviously I think it's really helping Jamara's game coming along quite a bit as well. So you forget that Aaron Norton's pretty young still. He's played a lot of footy still, but Jamara's come along, Cody, Arthur Jones. It's a pretty young forward line, so it's good to see them develop.
Callum Sinclair and the team are upstairs. Boys, over to you, Jack McRae.
Thank you very much. Jack, Daniel Garb here. Just in terms of where you sit overall, you're on a great run at the moment. A lot of people perhaps aren't talking about you when it comes to the premiership contenders. Do you guys believe you can get back to the grand final stage from a couple of years ago? Has that been discussed inside your club?
Oh, we don't look too far ahead, but obviously, it's something that's everything we're striving for, and I fully believe that we have the group to do it. But I don't think, maybe Brisbane game, Freo for a few parts, definitely not tonight. We haven't probably showed our full four-quarter capability. So I think once we bring that, I think we're definitely capable of beating anyone. But, it's old cliche, we won't look too far ahead.
Cal Sinclair here, mate. We spoke in the in the box about Jamara Ugle-Hagan. I think that the consensus here is that we can actually see he's really going to be a really, really good player. He had a lot of almost moments tonight. He's getting there. Can you maybe talk to us a little bit about his development and I guess how he's going in the squad?
Yeah, it is. It's never easy coming in as a number one draft pick. So, it's a lot of pressure on him, and he's handled it so well. And the work that he's put in behind the scenes, and it's just terrific. We're not expecting him to kick, 50, 60 goals just to do his role and bring the ball to ground, bring the contest, and that's some of the things he's really doing at the moment. So it's great to see.
Jack, congratulations on the win. Jason Saddington here, mate. Another forward that we're impressed with, a young player that you mentioned just earlier, Arthur Jones. He just looks like he's going to be a fantastic player in that front half for you guys with his speed and power. Tell us a little bit more about him and how highly you guys rate him.
Yeah, he's really come on, the last, probably didn't have the best start to the pre-season, but the work he's done, since Christmas has been amazing. And, the best thing about these young boys, they're really coachable, and they're happy to accept feedback on what they need to work on and get to work on it. So he's come on in leaps and bounds, and you can probably start to see a bit of his, extreme talent coming out now. And
just quickly, we have to ask about the Bont. His first half was unbelievable, Jack. Do you ever sit there in games and just stare at him in amazement at what he's able to do on a football field?
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty used to it by now. I've been playing with him for, over 200 games, and it's an absolute privilege to be around him. And, front row seat to a lot of the stuff he does. But he's, I think it's, he's such a talent people take for granted, his competitiveness and, his grit that he has in his game, because he's an extreme talent. So, I think that's probably not spoken enough about in his game, and you saw it come out tonight.
Jack, appreciate your time. All the best.
Thanks, boys. Cheers.
Jack McRae with us in the Bulldogs room. His 15-point winners tonight. Thanks to Adam Shirley for his efforts right across the evening as well. So just to recap some stats, Galby, if we can, leading into Jason Saddington's 3-2-1 Footballer of the Year votes.
Interesting from Jack McRae and Bontempelli. So 32 disposals tonight, 14 clearances, 7 tackles. We always talk about Bontempelli's class and his poise and his composure and his skill. But he is, at the moment, fourth in the comp in clearances. Well, he was coming into tonight. He might be much higher now. And third in tackles. So the grit that Jack McRae mentioned rarely gets discussed with Marcus Bontempelli. Your thoughts on that in a moment, boys. Bailey Smith had 32 touches as well. McRae himself, 29. Liberatore back in the side after missing a week with concussion, 29 disposals. For the Giants, Tom Green, 38. Josh Kelly, 34. Whitfield, 31. Haynes, 29. And Connor Iden, in his 50th game, it ended in defeat. But he had 28 disposals, as did Lockie Ash. But the hard work that Bontempelli does that people rarely mention.
Yeah, and it's always, he's always winning the footy in a contest or under pressure, or even if he's getting free, he's actually worked from the contest to get free. So when you've got players week in, week out going to you, trying to curb your influence and trying to stop your influence a game of footy, you can still pop up and win the ball like you do. It's unbelievable. I mean, he's a specimen of an athlete, isn't he? I mean, his size, his height and his power is just through the roof. But I don't know how you would go about stopping him anyway. I mean, most weeks someone tries, but no one really can.
It's his footy smarts as well. It's up in his head and in his brain. You even just see little things he does around the contest, even just like paddling the ball to a certain area, just so then it bounces up the right way. Like it's yes, we talk about his athleticism, and to be honest, I've played against him recently, and he's a massive lad. Like as his career goes on, he probably wants to spend a little bit more less time in the midfield. You saw what he did. You saw what he did tonight. He's jumping at the footy a lot more this year that I've found. He's taking some marks at the top of the goal square. So I think that's something that's going to be really dynamic to his game, that as he ages and gets a little bit older, he'll spend a lot more time forward, and he's got the height for it. And below his knees, for a guy his size, he's very, very good.
How did your 3-2-1 fall?
3-2-1. I always base this on influence in a game of footy, and obviously it's the way it should be. And, you know, maybe I got swept up in Cal a little bit here, but with the one vote, Aaron Norton, his influence, I think, was really important when he wasn't winning the footy. As a forward, his pressure and his work rate was through the roof. And then he kicked the 2 match winners at the end. So 1 vote for Aaron Norton. 2 votes, Tom Green, his ability to impact the game of footy from a Giants perspective was huge. 38 possessions, kicked 3 goals, 10 score involvements. I mean, that's a fantastic game of footy, and nearly got the Giants back into the game or across the line. And of course, the 3 votes, we've spoken a lot about this guy, Marcus Bontempelli, clearly the most influential player on the ground, and certainly in that first half.
So 3 Bontempelli, 2 to Tom Green, not Toby, and 1 to Aaron Norton. The subs, so there was a concern for Adam Treloar, of course, who came off, subbed out with a hamstring complaint in the 3rd term, which saw Lockie McNeil enter the game. Ryan Angwin, he wasn't subbed. Obviously, they'd made the sub by that stage because Cadman came off and Peatling entered the game in the 3rd quarter as well. But Ryan Angwin had what Adam described as an ankle sprain, it looked like, down there as well. Looked like a bit of pain, but that was another injury concern out of that game for the Giants, who, by the way, are now 3-5. And the Giants, for the time being, slipped down to 13th. Freo's win doesn't help them because, of course, they rocket back up the ladder to 12th, at least, Freo, with that 69-point win tonight over Hawthorn. But that's how it currently stands with, as I say, the Giants away to the Pies at the MCG next week, and the Bulldogs against Carlton at Docklands on Saturday night. Just looking elsewhere for the moment across other sports, in the NRL, winners today in Magic Round. In the night game just finished, it was a win to South Sydney over Melbourne, 28-12. The Dolphins beat the Sharks 36-16, and the Panthers over the Warriors 18-6. In the A-League Men Elimination Final, Sydney Derby, Sydney SC 2-1 over Western Sydney Wanderers, thanks to what proved to be the winner, Adam Lafondra. 10 minutes before full time in that elimination final earlier tonight as well. So that brings you across a few things happening around the place. Wins today to Richmond over West Coast, to Geelong over Adelaide, and Melbourne by just 5 points over the Gold Coast Suns at Carrara, which brings us to tomorrow. Jason Saddington, Callum Sinclair. You'll hear full coverage, of course, with Corbin Middlemass and the Grandstand AFL Sunday team from midday Eastern on the ABC Listen app. That's on the ABC AFL button on the Listen app, or on local radio through most markets. And then either you'll hear the Sunday Footy Forum with Clint Wilden and his panel, or Port Adelaide v Essendon, the first of those games. Intriguing game at the lower part of the top 8, Port v Essendon. Massive one coming up at the MCG, the Pies and the Swans in the Sunday afternoon blockbuster there. And then to close things out, North Melbourne v St Kilda, and the final game of round 8. Those are our games tomorrow.
And on form, I would have thought, Port have been fantastic in the past month. They keep winning games of footy, even against the odds. So Port against the Bombers at home, you'd think Port would get the chocolates. Collingwood should be too strong for the Swans, who are struggling with a lot of injuries. Down in Melbourne, the Pies flying. And, St Kilda up against North. You just look at that and go by how far the Saints at the moment are absolutely flying.
A lot of people think the Swans might be a chance tomorrow against Collingwood. A lot of people are just waiting for Collingwood to eventually fall over in one of these tight games. Is it eventually going to take its toll?
We've been looking at that since about round 5 last year.
Well, it's a very interesting point, Garth, but the Swans are internally, their backs are absolutely against the wall. They are slipping week by week down the ladder. It's a must-win game for them, and there's no tougher challenge than it is for to go down there on a Sunday afternoon. And Collingwood's crowd seems extremely hostile at the moment. Nick Dacos will definitely be getting some attention Don't know how successful they're going to be doing that, considering his numbers are absolutely through the roof.
Off the SMS, the last text of tonight, 0437 774 774, which isn't about the coronation or about the Freo Hawthorn game. Fran from Melbourne says, "Hi team, an admirer of Jesse Hogan, what he has gone through. I'm so happy he's playing. Success doesn't always come when you are a first round draft pick," says Fran, or first up draft pick. Thank you, Fran, for your text. Yeah, he's done some great things for the Giants, hasn't he, as well? He's found his feet now at his third club. Obviously, tonight they were lacking one major contributor, that's Toby Green, but he played his role.
He would benefit from another key forward being in that team. Yeah, Toby comes back, but he needs to be the number two. And then I think if he got that kind of number two role, he'd probably be kicking, close to 50 goals a year. He needs to take the number two defender.
Yeah, they're struggling with that at the moment. Himmelberg, Cadman, Riccardi, all sort of jostling. Himmelberg has to do ruck work in the absence of Bruce, and they can't quite find that sort of third banana alongside Hogan and Green in attack.
Well, there's obviously something going on with Riccardi. They either got to play him or either move him on, but they're crying out for a key forward, and I think tonight was a clear example of that.
The Bulldogs by 15 points, the final margin here in Canberra, after at one stage leading by 34 points. Late in the third term, the Giants hit back to kick the first 4 goals of the last quarter, but the Bulldogs kept away the advance and winners by 15 points in the end. Jason, Cal, thank you as always. We'll see you next week at the SCG for Swans Freo.
Absolutely. Didn't get to talk politics tonight, but maybe next week.
I'm thankful we didn't. Thank you, Garby. See you as always next time.
Thank you, Brett. Freo back in form, so a big one next week against the Swans.
Thanks to Adam Shirley on the Marriage for us. Thanks to Mark Baldy Jennings, our tech, and to Adam Jones back in the studio. To you, most importantly, for your company as well. That brings us to a close on this Saturday on Grandstand AFL. Wins to Fremantle over Hawthorn, Richmond over West Coast, the Cats over the Crows in Geelong, and Melbourne over the Gold Coast Suns at Carrara. The Dogs by 15 points over the Giants here. It all kicks off again come midday tomorrow Eastern time with the Grandstand AFL Sunday program. Corbin Middlemass and the team to talk you through all of that. Appreciate your company right across the weekend so far, and long may it continue tomorrow as well. Enjoy what's left of the coronation as well for those chasing that. The Dogs by 15 points here in Canberra as we say good night from Manuka Oval.